Hello, everyone. This is Korak with the American Reach Mahjong League. I am joined by Nathaniel. How are you doing?
Doing quite well. Excited to start another broadcast. It's been a little bit since our last one, so really looking forward to tonight.
Well, we definitely been churning them out, especially starting in session six of the last season. The first session had a ton, so we need some rest too. But we're back and ready to go. We have some B1 matches. We have this table with Andres, Travis, Aaron, and Luke. We'll have another B1 table later in about an hour. But for now, we're focused on this one. And as you can see, no one's really pulling away in this group. You have Luke and Aaron who have a decent negatives, but no one's really out of it here.
Absolutely not. And Andres with a slight positive, um, definitely the leader in this group. But the other table later tonight also only has 8 games played. So both of these groups are starting their first matches for session three in the second week here. And I believe they're both playing 2 games. Is that right? Or we're not
I believe
100%
that's what
sure.
we have showing. But of course, this is anything, they can change it on a whim. But we will plan on two and then see what happens afterwards. Of course, the one thing that jumps out at me when I look at those stats is that 11.4% call rate for Travis, which just seems ridiculous. But we have a game now, starting with two Dora here for Luke. Very good starting hand. Ricci Pinfu Dora 2, Mimi Peiko shift in Mon on the right. Decent shapes, not great when you have some overlap in that 3, 5, 6, 8, 9 pin. And the so shape leaves a bit to be desired. Across the way, I know, 79 Sanjiku, well, throws the 9 away immediately. Maybe even Chitoi with that. You have 3 pairs, hard to use anything. You'd have Honitsu choices. And on the left, I think you just go Chinitsu with that. There is a 79 Sanjiku if you draw it, but I like the more value here. Throws the East back, so probably thinking the same type of thing.
Yeah, you'd think if you're aiming for Honitsu, you'd hold on to the honors a little bit longer, but decides just to throw the Hatsu on the first, discard the East on the third, and probably this Haku as well. So not thinking cheap Honitsu. As you mentioned, Travis on the left does have a very low call rate, and this has been consistent throughout the previous season and this season. Likes the Ricci, and
Oh,
so
yeah, that's an obvious, and I'd absolutely call that with the 3-5 and just sell out and still see a pass. It is still a long way from Tempai, but there's a lot more value here, I think, just opening it. Although, if you just draw into the hand nicely, that would fix your problem. You could potentially get
Yeet.
Farici Pinfui Peiko. But speaking of Ricci, you have Dealer Ricci here. Good wait for Luke. Ricci Dora 3, waiting on 2-5 pin.
yeah, you pointed out that
Two
was a
five Mon. There are what, three fives and one two. So very good weight.
yeah. Let's see if we can get those to show up. Oh no, I think I caused it to freeze. But yeah,
Sorry for the technical difficulties.
I thought it would just refresh and come back into it, but we'll see if Luke has won the hand or not at the time of return. No, still going.
Definitely doesn't look like it yet. We do see another two pulled into a hand. So 1-5 and two twos.
Yeah, and as you said, there's a very good high five for Luke. Managed to draw the third Dora and pair up a couple of two pins as well. So found the tempai fairly quickly.
You see Aaron hard folding. There was a chance to Mawashi there. The East isn't particularly dangerous, having been one cut, but just isn't going to take any chances here.
Kong. And would be right to dodge this.
Ooh, Con for Dora 4, showing it to the rest of the table now. Sumo would be Hanemon Plus.
Still three left alone. There it is.
There's the Sumo.
And now we
Ricci
check it out.
Sumo Dora 4. The big question is how many Ora?
Oh!
Doesn't get any, but it will be the 18,000. And Luke takes control of this table in East 1.
Oh, that's absolutely the perfect start for Luke, who is likely to be climbing up the standings after this, assuming that things stay the current path.
Yes, Luke has another pretty good starting end here for a Chanta, maybe even a June Chan with this. Not that far away from anything, honestly. On the right, we have decent shapes. Honestly, getting better every draw. Maybe Ricci, Pinfu, Tanyo, maybe even a 678 Sunshku in there. Across the way, decent shapes, but not much value. On the left, wow.
Yeah.
I don't like the one mon cut there. I think I'm definitely going to sell out for the Honitsu.
Yeah,
Because it'd be a tragedy to win this hand with one Han, which is entirely possible.
Honitsu or Chanto is possible there, but giving up the 1-3 definitely gives up at least part of it. Started with a pair of wests, norths, and the Haku, and ended up drawing a third north. Hasn't seen the Haku yet. There's one in Luke's hand, and the west has been discarded once, and once in Toyman's hand. So we'll see if Travis is willing to call here. With the 8-pin cut, it seems to be not thinking about...
Goodness.
Yeet.
This is going to absolutely be a Ricci pay, and then either Haku or just extra Fu.
Yeah, no Honitsu here, just early reach.
And I don't see how this shot doesn't get cut here. Ichipatsu,
Nope.
there it is. Ricci, Ipatsu, pay. This will be 50 Fu, so 6,400 minimum. That's what it is. And that's just a really hard thing to dodge. I don't know how you're throwing anything but the Shah there.
Yeah, that was just an amazing hand to start with for Travis, and there was really not much you could do about that for the opponents.
Well, we have Aaron here starting with a very nice hand. Ricci, Pinfu, maybe a Sanchoku, pulling some Dora. Great draw there at the 8-mon. On the right, we see the Haku call. Hatsu pair, so need some Chun to go for that Daisangen, but you may even just go for the Honitsu and pin. If you get a shift, especially if you draw another pay there, you're absolutely going to take it, except your free Mungon. But you're not even the first player to Tempai, because across the way, Travis has a Ricci, Pinfu, possibly Peiko, waiting on the 6-9 mon, where 6 mon is the Peiko.
6-9, 4 left in the wall. No, 3 left in the wall. There's one discarded.
And there's Tempai on the right. Will just be the 2,000 here, but against a Ricci on turn 2, you'll take it.
Yeah, you don't have time to change that to Honitsu. This also has 3 in the wall for the 5-8 pin. Oh, but there's the 6.
Sumo.
There's the
Travis.
Sumo on the expensive end. Ricci, Sumo, Peiko, Pinfu. No aura, but it will be the 5,200. And wow, this game's already had some big hands.
Yeah, started with Luke's dealer Hanemon, but Travis catching up. Contender for first now.
Well, and they have Andres sitting here in 4th place and looks at this hand and says, this sure looks like a Chinitsu comeback hand. It's dealer at East 3, so I can't really see a reason to play it any other way. Maybe you float the 4-so instead, keeping the 1-3 to start with, but if you're just going to sell out, go for it. On the right, we have, nice draw with that 4-mon. Potential Ricci, Tanya, Dora, maybe a 5-6-7 Sanchoku, but that's probably a long way off. Across the way, very interesting hand there with the Chun and Haku pairs. Maybe Chanta. Oh, now you start dreaming of even more. The closed Anko of the Chun, of course, one Haku has been discarded, but that's very much a we'll see what happens. And on the left, few pairs, but not much value. That's a hand that's pretty mediocre until you look at every other hand at this table.
Yeah, Andres. Oh, never mind. We'll look to the right. Travis with the Ricci.
Now, Ricci, Dora 2, good weight on the 1-4, but as we can see, they're already kind of dying.
Yeah, 4 visible, 1 in hand, so only 3 in the wall.
And Luke decides not to really challenge this, at least not immediately.
Yeah, Aaron technically Shanten here, but would like to draw the Kanchan 4-so. Technically, Andres also Ishanten. Well, now Tempai, so we'll just fight here.
Sumo.
Oh,
yeah,
but
why
sumo.
not? But there's the Sumo. That's going to be Mungon on the right.
That's 3 straight wins for Travis. And he's taking the lead.
Not only shuts down the Ricci from Andres, takes 4,000 plus the Ricci stick off that Sumo.
Yeah, that's painful. Andres had a really nice hand too, and went the cheap route by just calling the Ricci, not going for the full Chinitsu.
Well, at that point in the hand, you just have to take it.
Right.
But
oh my
move
goodness.
to East 4, and Dealer has a great starting in here. Maybe Dora Tonki. Well, that's like the worst draw, but you still have to take it. You will accept your Ricci Pinfu here, waiting on 3-6 pin. There are 4 on the wall. I guess we don't have to spend that much time on other hands here. There's a possible Rion Peiko on the right for Luke, though.
Yeah, well, I guess this is why Travis has such a small call percentage. Just Ricci turn 2.
Ricci turn 2, I believe a Ricci turn 3,
Mm-hmm.
and then what, a Ricci turn 6, somewhere around there?
Yeah, very fast tempis here.
And that just looks like straight pushing on the left from Andres.
Well, Luke calls into tempi would only win on the 6, and it's been twice cut.
Well, also means it's Genbutsu, so if someone draws it, it has to come out pretty much. Could switch the weight here to the 4E10, doesn't want to. And just doesn't feel like throwing. Oh, there's the 1. It will deal into the 2 Dora Hatsu on the left.
A little bit of payback for Andres.
Mitigate your damage, and honestly not that far off from third now, but the big leaders right now are Luke and Travis, and Luke will have first dealer in South 1 with a beautiful shape in Mon. Bunch of floaters elsewhere. That 7 will at least connect to the 5, so, but it's not looking particularly expensive, although as dealer you don't need it expensive. On the right, we have, I don't know, Pinfu. Not much else here. You'd love to get some sort of Sanjiku, but I'm just not seeing it yet. Maybe Peiko now with that 6. Across the way, great shapes. I believe it's Rian Shanten, but a very, very wide one.
That
Oh
great
my
draw.
goodness, look at how wide that Ishanten is. And on the left, that hand has a potential for Itsu, but just is going to be too slow compared to the rest of the hands.
Yeah, dealers found Ishanten in the meantime. Ipeko chance in the upper Manzu. Technically headless here, so there's a lot of draws that will get you to tempi.
We have an Ishanten on the right as well.
Doors the south, we haven't really pointed that out too much. One was discarded across the table from Andre's hand. No one else has drawn it, so it doesn't seem like it'll play a big factor in this hand.
Oh, that's absolutely a tempi. I don't think is that Pinfu? That is Pinfu.
Mm-hmm.
You can use the 4 as the head. So it is Ricci Pinfu waiting on 4-7. Always feels bad when 3 of your outs are already in your hand.
Ooh, do you take this reach?
I think there's maybe a chase Ricci. Okay, knows the 5 and the 7 are safe, so we'll look for a better shape in Mon first.
Luke,
there's another 4. The 4-7's just dying.
Yeah.
All the 4s are dead. There is 1 7 left. So it is just a hell weight at this. Oh no!
And
Luke's just giving up at this point.
That draws a sign. It's that you missed your chance. Now it's time to give it up. I wonder.
Admittedly, it would have only been Ricci Sumo there, but it's always tragic when you see that happen.
I wonder if Toyman will push Andres.
Well, you want to. You absolutely have the incentive to push. Because this is who you were fighting with on 3rd or 4th place.
So far, Manzu looks like the dangerous suit, and it is.
There's Tempai across the way. I think you just take the Nobetan here.
Reaches it even, so
and
both waiting on the same.
Both waiting on that 4-7. There is 1 left, so good luck.
1-4-7 is the right.
This is a true 50-50. Actually, I guess it's not, because there's going to be 1 extra draw for. But there it is, the last draw across the way, and that will be 4,000 plus the Ricci sticks back for Andres, and that'll put him in 3rd place going into South 2.
That was a huge battle between those two.
Yeah, big swing there. You're still within range of 3rd, but if Zeno had won that one, I mean, it's not over, but you're in really bad shape. Now it's much more of a toss-up, especially considering both of these players still have their dealer turns. And we see here with Aaron having the dealer turn right now in South 2 and has a pretty good pin fu shape. Not much value, but again, you're dealer, you don't need value. On the right, you see Andres with similarly decent shapes, but not much value. I guess there's now an Itsu upgrade. Stanchku looks too far away. Ooh, that hand on the left is
Yeah.
looking expensive. Across the way, probably a Pinfu type hand, just not quite there yet. The expensive hand is Luke's on the left.
It's
Oh my
Tenpai.
goodness, that is Tenpai.
Do you just take
Ooh,
this?
which way do you dare take the Sananko?
Oh, it does.
Damas, the Sananko Tanya, waiting on 5-pin.
Yeah, the alternative was just Ricci Tanyao.
Ooh,
Or
that's
7.
a good weight.
Oh, it
Yeah,
might come out.
Damas, it's gonna. Oh, good play there by Aaron, not dealing in immediately.
But Aaron's close to Tenpai. This.
Sumo.
Oh, well, you'll take that. There's your Sumo Sananko Dora 2.
And
The Dora Tonki is certainly the way to play that.
Zeno was looking at that, so relieved that he held it for one turn. That was just enough.
Yeah, you don't throw Dora when you don't have to, and that tends to be why.
Still ate the majority of the sumo there, but you could have been paying
Could
more.
have been a lot worse. And move to South 3. Dealer has a pretty standard Pinfu hand, maybe an Itsu in Mon. Still looking for a pair, though. On the right, we have a whole bunch of tiles in Pin. Maybe a Chinitsu, maybe an Ipeiko. Honestly, it's actually Chitoitsu Ishanten. So there are so many ways that hand can end up developing. Across the way, Pinfu hand but feels slow. And on the left, similarly, Pinfu hand with a bunch of bad shapes, maybe 1, 2, 3 Sanchoku.
Yeah, it definitely feels like dealer and that would be Andres, and to the right, Travis definitely have the advantage here. Ishanten for
Interesting
dealer.
cutting the 1 Mon there instead of the 6 so.
Each.
You could have taken the potential Nobeton along the way, but there's your Chitoy waiting on 9 Mon. And there are 2 left, 1 left, because that last one is not coming out of Andres' hand. Like maybe if there's a 6 shift, but even then, I think you take the Nobeton. Would just be Ricci Chitoy.
It's a little rough because you want to fight here.
Well, the other problem is this weight's actually pretty bad, and you figure it's going to be bad because it is Dora Suji. I definitely would have waited on the 9-pin, especially with both having 1 out.
We'll see a 9-8 cut here. And if that's the case, there's a route where to turn this into a Tanyao. That would involve cutting the 9 Mon.
Yeah, especially if you draw Dora, you certainly can think about it. Oh, there's a backfire. But there you go. This is Tenpai. Could even Ricci it right now, and will. Ricci Nomi waiting on 5 so. It's actually a pretty good weight. 3 left in the wall, which is rare for this late.
2 drawing pools for 3 in the wall. Aaron with 2 Dora trying to make a fight of it.
Yeah, Tuso doesn't look bad to either of them, at least to me. Trust the 1 chance 8 so first. And the problem with that 3 so is it would be Furiton, so it just throws it right back. Well, there's your 9 Mons, so I think that's the end of that. And there's your 5 so, Ricci Sumo.
It took with 2 draws remaining to find that.
And the Ura, that's a big hand.
So Andres with a chance to claim second.
Yeah, certainly
keep this
back
up.
and fighting for second. That's the problem Aaron was running into, is you have to try and push there, specifically because if you have Andres sumoing, and especially it's a Dora as well, then you're in deep trouble. 2 hands left. And dealer calls the Chun is now Ishanten for just Chun. On the right, we have potential Itsu in So. Decent shapes elsewhere. Across the way, feels like a Pinfu but a little slow, and on the left similarly feels like a Pinfu but a little slow. Maybe now you can add Ipeco or Itsu in pin.
Nice,
Insto rather.
yeah, nice shape now for
Chi.
Andres. Calls it a Tenpai 7-8 pin.
And I think that 7's coming out sooner rather than later from Luke. I figured the 2 soul come out first, but after that, it's destined. It feels destined to come out.
Wonder, I guess the only out is you keep drawing pairs.
Well, if you
Yeesh.
connect with the 6 pin or 5 pin, then you go Ipeco, and that would solve your problem. But the first Ricci is on the right. Ricci Pinfu waiting on 3-6. And if you're Andres, you have no incentive to be pushing here, to be folding rather.
You want to claim the position for Travis. You want Travis to deal into you.
Ooh, that 5's a scary tile. But if you switch the weight, is it that much better? Plus, if you throw the 5, you now have a Suji trap.
Did feel it was too
But
dangerous
we'll go
to
ahead and
push.
throw the relatively safer 9. And now we'll be waiting on these 6, of which there are 3 left. So both players waiting on the 6. We have Travis also waiting on the 3, though. And there are 3 3s, so it's a 6 versus 3 fight right now.
That's a Dora, but that's been cut already, so not a concern.
Twice cut, unless someone else was being really sneaky and hell waiting on it on a time.
Oh, we see the third as well. 2 in Travis's pool and 1 across the table. What about 6
Ah,
so?
yes, hell wait. And can't even be Kokushi because the Chun was dead. But the rest of these hands are finals trying to come together. Maybe a potential cheat toy, but isn't taken across the way.
Still 5 of the 3-6 in the wall.
Sumo.
Well, there's one of them. Ricci, Sumo Pinfu. No Aura, but will kind of put down the chance for Andres to sneak second out of this, barring Hane Monsumo or direct hit Mangan. And we're in all last here, where Travis has decent shapes, I guess, but you have a bunch of overlap. You need 2 3-so and 2 7-pin. You also have a penchant. So I guess the shapes aren't that good. On the right, we have Pinfu as well, especially if you can get rid of that extra 1 mon, and since you already have a pair, you probably will. Great shape with 2 Dora as well. Across the way, you have a whole bunch of extra floaters here. It seems like a brute force move to Honitsu or Chitoi. And on the left, we have a Chun pair and a Dora, and honestly, not much else. Feels like the type of hand that's going to end up winning and win cheaply.
Yeah, Luke, though, Itsu chance? Open for it.
I have an Ishan 10 on the right, but it's kind of an ugly one unless you draw the 5 mon or 3 pin right now.
Well,
Yeet.
Well, as I say that, just draw it. Ricci Dora 2, waiting on 2 5s. So, of course, we can see a bunch of the 2s and 5s in hands right now. 3 left.
well, now
2
2.
left.
And everyone at
And
this
if,
table.
yeah, if you're Travis, what are you throwing?
There's
I don't mind the 4. I think I'd have thrown the 1 first, though. And there's another on the 2 5 Suji coming into a hand.
Dong.
And it's going to come out. Ricci Dora 2. No Uradora, but Luke dominating this match. Over 53,000 points.
Yeah, Travis made a good run at things, but Luke just took over in the end.
And the final score is Luke with 38.1. Travis with 12.0. Andres taking a 15.7 hit. And Aaron with the minus 34.4. So that will certainly shake up the standings, but I think Aaron's going to be down there, yeah, with a perfectly nice score, or is the minus in front of it make it not nice?
I guess Aaron was probably not going to be too pleased to be sitting there at the moment, but still,
Well,
3
you
more
have the
games to play in this
69
session.
there, and it does move everyone else pretty close to plus minus 0. Luke's still at minus 20, but feeling a lot better now. Andres is pulled back into the pack. and you have Travis now leading this group, but certainly not in a great position overall for the season.
Yeah, it was certainly a centralizing game. Everyone moving close to the middle, and have they started the second game? But that was a very fast one.
I do not see it. Yeah, I have not seen it. I believe they are taking a break. And if that is the case, so will we, because if we don't see it, it means we won't be able to cast it for at minimum another 5 minutes.
All right, so we will put ourselves on hold as we wait for the second game of this series to continue. In the meantime, let's see. Are there any? No, it looks like we'll probably just wait this out for about a little bit more than 5 minutes, as we're unsure of when they will begin the next set. But after the break, we'll be back with a second match. All right, we're just about a minute away from the start of the second match. Wanted to pull up the full screen of the B1 standings so that we could see everybody in the league. There's 21 members with 9 promotion slots and 5 demotion slots.
Yeah, you see a pretty big split here as you get down the ratings, but with 5 demotion, you'd feel a lot better if your cut line were higher than -26. Obviously, A1 last season had absurd levels of that, but you see a distribution of a whole bunch of players sitting between +15 and +100. No one's really dominating, and you have a couple people that are really getting hit hard. So the point swing can be brutal, and you want to rack up as many as you can now, especially if you're below that 0 point right now.
I think it's so unusual to see over half the field over the the 0.0 mark, and really tight here. You were pointing out that if Luke wins another, reasonably large finish to move positive, then we're approaching a very tight cutoff line. As Garrick, I guess, isn't playing tonight, or maybe playing in the later matches, but Josh would be the next up at negative 2.8. Let's see here. I think Garrick is not played tonight. Rather, it's Claire and some of these other players who have
Well, I
8
think
games.
the issue is on that picture, you also have Dakota, who doesn't show up in the B1 standings here. So on my end, so that the cut line's actually much higher than it looks on that screen.
Yeah, that's true. So if you're looking to the right of the screen, it only shows 20 out of 21 players. There is one more. That doesn't quite fit that, but on the full screen, we can see that. It looks like we're almost set to go here.
Boy, that was timed really well. Luke, first dealer here with a Dora. Decent shapes, not good ones though. You're really hoping to pair up a Yakuhai and go with this. On the right, Pinfu Taipan, Floating Dora, maybe a Chanta, maybe some sort of Sanjiku around the 3. Across the way, Pinfuhan, maybe Itsu in So. And on the left, Pinfuhan, maybe Peiko in Mon. You also have a couple extra floaters, a potential shift to a Honitsu later, but I think just a more conventional hand is going to be the way you approach it.
This looks like one of those hands where big question is what's going to happen with the Dora. There are 3 players who have 1 in hand, and we'll be curious to see how long they get retained. A couple of those players could use the Haku as a pair, so especially Toyman. Aaron.
Ooh, now you're thinking Itsu. I'm just cutting it now.
Yeah, you're still looking.
It goes and throws the 6. The advantage of keeping the 6 instead of the Haku is you can also accept the 3 or the 6 to complete a shape here, but instead just going for the extra value to certainly understand. We see a pay call on the left.
Yeah, the hand needs a 5-so, but looks very cheap.
Now Aaron is now Ishan 10, rejects it, looking for that Itsu.
And if you're going to force that, you might as well hold on to the door a little bit longer. Well, this is a pair, so now we might see.
Yeah. Oh, okay, it locks it in. It just does not want to throw that pair until Tempai has made that decision.
Well, I got burned by that recently. So hopefully this doesn't happen to Aaron. So far, so safe. No one's drawn another Haku.
Well, now you're starting to wonder, wait, why hasn't it come out?
Right.
It's one thing to cut it on turn 4. It's okay if you're cutting on 5 or 6, but now you're on turn 11. And you're going, okay, there is no chance that it is just like this. You know someone has a pair. The question is someone has have an Onko and waiting for something else. We now have a Dama from dealer waiting on 3-so. Probably wanted to make sure the Haku passed before Ricci. No, just going to sit here on the 3-so. We also have Tempai on the left, and that will deal in for the 1,300. So a lot of stalemating. The Haku just locked down 3 hands, and that's what can tend to happen if no one's willing to throw it.
Yeah, not terribly surprising to see the hand that ended up winning was the hand that did not draw the Haku.
Exactly. We move on to East 2 here. Terrace has a Pinfu type hand, maybe a Tanyao. But the problem with both is you have 1-mon pair and 4-pin pair. So you want to pull in a 3-pin or 5-pin to turn that into something more regular.
Well,
like that. I think I might have cut the 4-pin, even though you take a little bit of efficiency hit just to float the Sanjiku option, but certainly fine to play efficiently there. On the right, that looks like a Ricci Nomi type hand, or I guess Ricci Dora, given the Dora in the hand. Now you upgrade to a potential Ryankan. Across the way, we see the 1-2-3 call. Just going for the Haku, and there it is. will be called now in Ishan 10 for just the 1,000. And on the left, definitely looking for that 789 Sanchoku.
It was interesting. We saw the choice across the table from Andres to either drop the 3 mon or the 5 mon, and likes the ability to call Pon here. Chooses the 5 mon instead of the retaining the Yankan shape.
And you see Travis is now in a Ricci Ishan 10. Well, there's Tempai across the way. You absolutely take it. Now, which weight? Takes the Shampon. The 3 mon's Dora Suji and the 6 pin's really easy to use for most hands. So I think I would have taken the 2, but certainly nothing wrong with this.
We see Aaron hesitating on this 2, not willing to throw it right back out, especially after the Chi.
After the
Chi.
1 and a 5 having been cut.
Mm-hmm.
The 2, 3, and
Yeet.
4 all of a sudden look very suspicious. But there's our Ricci for the dealer. Ricci
Sumo.
potential Dora, but it's shut down with a 6-pin Sumo.
Shampon was the correct play. And that's an
Gets
extra.
the Ricci stick on top of everything. Move to East 3. Aaron will be dealer here. Can use a Dora with the potential Penchon, but this hand just overall looks pretty slow. Penchon, Kanchan, Ryanman, Kanchan, floater. So not much there. On the right, we have a whole bunch of pairs. That is Chitoi, Tanyao, Dora 2, Ishan 10.
Ooh. Or.
Ooh, so what about Toy Toy?
Tojo might be a little hard with Tanya, but
I mean, you're definitely thinking it. If the 7-pin comes, then you have to take it, don't
just
you?
keep drawing it.
Or
How
what
about?
Suonko?
All right,
In
so
the meantime, Luke says, I don't like where things are going. I'm just going to casually call and try and get my 2,000 here. And he's probably the most likely to win the hand as of right now.
except for the
But
fact
the
that,
problem is that 4 is pretty
Yeah.
locked up.
unbeknownst to Luke, oh no, I see a red name.
No. We see
Nah.
a disconnect there on the left by Andres.
Not like this. Aaron, think about this discard for a while. So far, not getting punished yet, but we'll hope that Andres recovers quickly.
Yeah, and Travis also has a Chitoi type hand.
Yeah, on the left.
Well, maybe not now. I think you just cut the 2 so and float your option of whether you're going to go Chitoi or normal hand.
Yeah, it's kind of a tough decision here. I think how many pairs is this for still?
Yeah, I think it's 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hey, I can count to 4.
Chi.
Well, you absolutely cheat for Tempai now, and that's what Luke will do, waiting on that 4 so. Of course, we know 3 of them are locked up, and I'd say never coming out, but they potentially could. Oh, and that 7-pin is 7-mon is so rough.
Would be
Could be
Tempai.
Ricci, Tanyao, Sananko, Dora 2.
The 3-pin in hand, and the 3 so one's in the wall, so I guess it is possible.
And we see Aaron here keeping the option for Chitoi.
Definitely a Chitoi type hand all the way around, except for, I guess, Luke. A lot of times that normal hand gets choked out if people are collecting pairs. Still 1-4 in the wall for Luke to draw. A 2-so is kind of hard if you're trying to upgrade to the 1-4 weight. In fact, it's completely dead. So it's going to have to be the 4 for Luke. Could switch here to the 2. It does indeed do so. However, unless that comes out
There
of...
are only 2 left. We see them
Gee.
both in... Oh, and they're never coming out. Ever.
Yeah, not after that call.
They were both locked up. One is using that call by Aaron, and it's just going to be stuck now.
Oh, there's the Suanko Tempai.
Oh, no, there's Yusuanku Tempai. The 3, though, would be dead. You would be waiting on nothing. Okay,
Yeah.
It wouldn't matter. It's not going to feel as bad when you come back later. Okay, it was dead.
Well, hopefully comes back later. We've seen before Tenho bug, I'll say, where someone ends up getting locked out of the game.
You have to reconnect 3 times, and if you get in, it recognizes you, and you
Come.
fail, it will lock you out though.
Con for Luke, no Forso yet. Does reveal the 2-pin. That doesn't really help anybody. Aaron's got one in hand, but is only fighting for K10 here. Yeah, it's just a matter of where that last Forso is and whether or not Aaron can find a 7-pin. I guess Travis is Ishanten as well.
Well, then you go Dorotonki if you really want. And Will. Of course, we know that's dead at this point. Oh, there he's back.
And drops the
Well,
Forso.
I will say this. You would have gotten Tempai. You might have been able to sue him on the Sunanko, but it was not going to be Suanko, ever. In fact, I think the Sunanko was locked because it was the same 2 pairs.
Yeah, I think after that 3 So came out, there was no chance for the Suanko. And Sanako was pretty dead.
Yeah, it was the same one because it was the 6
Yeah,
that paired up. That would have been, yeah. So it would never finish. So that's going to be very tragic, but not as tragic as it could have been. We move to East 4 now. Dealer has a pretty standard Pinfu hand. Well, now you're almost feeling Chi-Toy with that 5 draw. You have overlaps everywhere, needing what? 2 6-mon and 2 3-pin. I don't like that hand. It's one that's, you see so many paths, they're all kind of reliant on the same choke points. On the right, decent hand, not much value. Kind of slow. You have Ryoncon in, double Ryoncon in pin. Across the way, that looks like a decent hand. 2 Dora. You do have a potential issue that you may need the 4-mon or 8 So, or if you draw the 3, yeah, this is Ishanten. So it could just be Riichi Dora if you draw the 3, which would be a little annoying, but you'd absolutely take it. On the left, well, that hand isn't there either. Of course, if you draw 2 So, you're in a pretty good Ishanten.
So Andre's shifting a little bit, drops the 9-pin, drops the 5 after drawing the 3. There's a world where this ends up being Tanyao, but does still require the 6-mon specifically, and then probably a 5-pin.
Not necessarily. You could even call here by pawning the 2 So.
And then you end up dropping the 1-pin pair, grab the 5-pin, wait on the 6 perhaps.
Oh, I was thinking of Luke's hand.
Oh, yeah, that also has Tanyao chances as well.
On the same exact type of situation where you need that 6.
Yeah. And 6-pin is a little bit hard to find now. Still Ishanten across the way.
Left, although, yeah, you do have... Aaron has an extra 6, which is likely going to have to come out at some point. And yeah, that definitely is the Tanyao on the right. Ooh, there's your Dora 3 pull-in. Riichi Dora 3 waiting on 4-7 So.
Andres has a pair of save tiles and can still fight. 1-pin, 1-pin. 2 So
Doesn't
also
have to
safe.
give up yet. Just throws the safe 2 So. I think I'm just throwing the 1 Kathatsu.
Yeah, now it's twice cut, so you have 2 save tiles.
Well, unless you want to use it as your pair here.
Yeah, a little awkward. I guess you could treat the 8 So as a 6-8-8 shape, grab a 7, drop an 8. But it's a little bit safer, more callable to just drop the Hatsu.
Oh, that is an annoying shape there for Andres.
The 9...
Interesting, the 6-pin was not called.
Luke doesn't want to open the hand up at all.
I feel if you're not going to open that hand up, especially on the 6-pin, you've basically given up on it.
Boom.
But there's someone who's definitely not giving up and throws the correct tile with the 7. The 7 So would have dealt in, but the 7-pin is safe.
Yeah, that would have been such a wide wait if you dropped the 7 so, but makes the right play.
I think there may have been a 4-10 on the 6 pin, but I'd have to check it. Of course, when you see the 6-5-7 in the discards, that tends to lend to the idea there's a 4-10 in there somewhere.
Yeah, after the 5. The 5 would have been a sumo.
Three so is safe.
Ooh,
That is
Andres.
tempai for dealer.
Yeah, found
4-10,
tempo at the
so it
very
doesn't
end.
even matter.
That's important though, an extra 1,000 and
Yeah, 3 players tempai and another dealer turn.
Luke is the one paying it out, but oh wow, nice high buy.
Decent high. Bunch of pairs, Tanyao, but hard to connect to everything. If you look at it as a cheat toy hand, it's not that far off. I guess you're still just talking 3 pairs. You're looking at it as a normal hand. It's what? Ryanman, Kanchan, floating pair. But if you just draw a third 5 so all of a sudden the hand looks a lot better. Still just Tanya though, most likely. Could even call this and will. Just going for the Tanya only. On the right, we see a Pinfu type hand, but you have a Penchun and a Kanchan to fill. So probably just Richidora across the way. Tone pair. Pretty good shapes everywhere. You do have too many floaters, though, for my taste. On the left, similarly, maybe a 2-3-4 Sanchoku. You may even open with that, but he's so depressing to call for a 1,000 hand. We need Sanchoku here. You need the 3 pin and the 3 so for it. It just feels slow. I think dealer here has the fastest hand by a lot.
I could call into tempai on a number of tiles. Even there's a chance at a shift to a future toy.
Yeah, not even that far away from toy either. We now have an Ishan 10 on the right. Ooh, now you're thinking Ryan Peiko, or at least I would be.
It's definitely on the mind. It's so pretty to have it. Both of your Peiko ships.
Well, that's the end of that.
Ah.
Richie, Pinfu, Dora, possibly Peiko.
Weight's not as good as you'd expect. Given the Anko of 5 so in Andre's hand, one of the 2 so discarded already as well. So actually,
I forgot to mention Richie, Pinfu, Tanya, Dora, possibly Peiko.
Only 2 tiles left.
So it is Mongon either way. But that requires you to win the hand first. And there's 1-2 and 1-5. Ooh, that's an awkward draw. You cut the 4 pin here, or do you just cut the relatively safe 6? Cuts the relatively safe 6 first. Which would be Nakasuchi here. And getting close to Tempai on the left, but doesn't want to really pursue it yet. Would have to throw things like 9 so, and probably the 2 or 4.
Oh, there's the punish for not being willing to drop the 7 pin earlier.
Yeah.
Still, okay, there's a 2 so.
There's your 2 so. I don't see any reason for that to come out.
Only one winning tile left in the wall. Again, Andres find Tempai once again. It's starting to get really tight on the PNC. All the 8s are gone. 3 of the 5s are visible. I played 3 of the 6s as well.
Oh, there's your 5. That's it. Unless you see a very greedy play here by Andres. That's going to be the end of this hand.
Oh.
Oh, there's Tempai. Yeah, the 7 should be pushed most of the time here.
Did manage to get there in the end.
Tanya Dora, hand isn't over yet, is it? There's
yeah, we still have one for everybody
left. And 1 7 pins. Actually, 2 out.
Oh!
Oh, there it is!
Haite!
Haite, Tanya Dora, and the extra foo from all those Anko. And all of a sudden, that's a monster hand. 10,400.
Not quite the toy, but you'll take it.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
that's always the other side of should I pursue Tempai is occasionally that will happen.
Yeah, huge win. And Andres over 43,000 at still in East 4, so still early, but kind of putting a stranglehold on everybody. No one's been able to fight against this.
Yeah, and now you see Ricci, ooh, especially there, Ricci Tanyao hand with Adora. On the right, well, that's just very simply either Honitsu or Chinitsu. Maybe even Chitoi as well, given you have 4 pairs,
Mm.
but also could be any Peiko. If you can keep this close, that is a monster hand. Across the way of a Chun pair, great shapes, a couple extra flourishings, so one of which is likely to get cut here. And on the left, decent shapes. You'd have a Dora, but you really need the 5 mana to pull it together. Or, of course, you just pair up the Dora. That would fix your problem and your bear.
We'll see how eager Andres is to call into Tempai here. Tanya Dora 1.
Well, I think if you're Luke here and you see the 7, so you just call. I think almost anything else is a pass.
Yeah, passes the 5 so. The 1 so, of course, is passed.
There's an argument for the 3, 4, or 5, but if you do 1, you're going to need another as well.
Yeah, of course, if you do call one of those, particularly the 4 or the 5, it's a little bit hard to use the other tiles if you are sitting in the other seats. Oh, here's Tempai, though.
Oh, there's Tempai for dealer. Takes the Dama for the Tanyao Dora, waiting on 3 pin.
Is hoping to get it to come out of Luke's hand naturally. There aren't... The upgrades in the pin aren't as good as usual. For example...
Well, the other problem here is this is a Furry 10. We'll see if it's noticed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's the good play. Especially, this is one of the times where I like the Karigiri from the hand. Is 2/6. Oh, no one's waiting on 3 there. Now, I don't like the the Sumiguri Ricci.
I was wondering if that was going to happen.
I don't mind the Karigiri 6 Ricci with a 1/2 cut earlier, because why would you be waiting on the 3 there?
Yeah, I think now that if you hadn't declared Ricci on the north and you drew the 8, you can Karigiri the 8.
Yeah. I think either Ricci on this. Oh, well, just Sumo. Well, if you Karigiri on 8, this would be fun Sumo.
Oh, this is good too.
Ricci, Sumo, Tanya, Dora, and there's another Mungon, and Anders is starting to run away with this game.
Yeah, Luke was building a monster, but yeah, 12k is pretty good too.
Now, we have another East 4, and I guarantee you that's how everyone in the game, except for Andres, is feeling about it. And Andres does not have the monster starting hand here. You see the obvious shades, but you need 2, 3 Mon, a 2 pin, and then probably another 2 Dora for it to be really good.
Oh, there's a 2 pin.
There's the first. So you're now technically in Ishan 10. On the right, you have a whole bunch of 1-so here. Obviously looking to con, especially having got that 2-so. And maybe a 5, 6, 7 Sanchoku. Across the way, that looks like a Chinitsu, but if you get something else, especially Chitoi, I guess you just take it waiting on Dora. And on the left, again, another one of those hands where the shapes are there, but it just feels slow. Maybe a 2 through 4 Sanchoku with that draw now.
Andres wants these shapes and wants the Adora too, hoping to pair that up and get some type of Suji trap weight.
Well, I think that's very much a why not.
Yeah, at this point, if you draw another Dora, then you've got a double Suji trap, potentially.
Oh, I'm absolutely pawning that 3 the instant it comes out. That makes that shape beautiful. That's another one of those where Travis just doesn't call, where a lot of other players do.
Mm-hmm. Well, just draw it.
That's why. Is if you can draw it yourself, what do you need to call anything for?
And this is Ishan 10-4 on... Well, we were talking about monster hands.
Yeah, this is a closed Chinitsu.
Gee.
There's a call for the Tanyao Sanchoku on the left. Still needs quite a bit, though.
This Dora not looking too bad as a discard in the future. The only person you're really scared of is Luke.
The interesting thing here for Andres is the 3 Mon is completely dead, we know.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't possibly know that.
Yeah, six mon also not very live either, so it's gonna be very hard for Andres to find Tempai here, from our perspective.
Oh, there's a 1. I believe that's Tempai. It is. That is at least a 3-sided weight, and I think more.
Each.
I'm just smashing the button.
I'm gonna wait and see
Like, no
see the
reason
tells
to
that
mess
light
around
up.
here. The
3, 6, 9,
8-mon
8.
win would be Sananko as well.
And all the remaining 8 mon are in the wall.
That's what I thought it was. The 3, 6, 9, but you also accept the 8 and the 7.
Oh
Okay,
my
miss the 7.
goodness!
Oh, gets the expensive end. Riichi, Sumo, Chinitsu, Ipatsu, Sananko. There's a nice casual Sanbaimon. Well, that's one good reason not to call, I suppose.
We suddenly have a tie for first.
Yeah, because Andres takes the bulk, 12,000 direct, and then 6,000 for the other players. And oh my goodness.
If you looked at the start of the hand and said there's going to be a tie at the end of this hand, you would have expected Andres to have dealt into like a Hanuman or something.
Right.
Well, it had to be a Baimon.
Yeah.
It was, but a Sanbai Sumo from Travis
Wow.
totally turns this game on its head. Poor Luke and Aaron are sitting here at 15-2 and 16-2 respectively. I mean, like, we haven't done anything wrong. Andres just sumoed a bunch, and then Travis hit that.
And we've all been in games like that. It's just not fun to be in.
But I think
you have to suck it up and move forward. We're in South 1. Dealer has a Pinfu hand, maybe a 4, 5, 6 Sanshuku with some shifting. On the right, that's a nice little Tanyao hand. That is actually Ishanten for potentially Riichi Pinfu, Tanyao, Dora. Across the way, the 8-so connects, but you have that 9-so cut earlier, so you can't really use it without much 4E10 chance. And on the left, that is also Ishanten, but no value.
will we see a dealer repeat for Luke? Kind of need to get it right here. It's your last dealership. And unfortunately, the hand looks...
8. That's a pretty rough backfire for Aaron.
Yeah.
Dealer is now Rian Shanten still. There's an Ishanten across the way. At least I think it is. No, it's not. It's still Rian Shanten.
Each.
There's a Tempai on the left on 3-so for Richinomi.
The Shampoo would have been 1-so 8-pin.
I definitely like the 1-so 8-pin, even with one of the 1-so out.
It is
The
3-so.
reason here is the Suji trap on the 6-so.
Yeah.
But I think that 1-so on the right would have come out anyway. There may be a hard fold, but I think this is one that would have been pushed.
Dora having been cut earlier might have been a push, yeah. Oh, 3 comes out, so
and
the
there's a
Suji trap
3-so.
works.
Okay, both got pushed, so it doesn't really matter, does it? Riichi no Aura, but that will move the hand around. Let's move to South 2.
Yeah, we do have a clear leader now.
And in chat, yes, Kazuei are allowed in this league.
It was... There were many ways to flip Ura that would have given the Kazuei.
Oh, yeah. Well, anytime you have Sananko, you're looking for ways to get Aura 3. But we're in South 2 here, and dealer has pretty nice starting hand. Maybe a 2, 3, 4 Sanshuku would be the most value from it.
Oh.
On the right, decent shapes, not great ones though. You definitely need a 2-pin and a 7-pin. Maybe Itsu in pin now. Across the way, Riichi, and I'm looking for other value. Maybe an Ipeco in pin. Maybe something to connect with the Dora since you have that floating 7-mon. And on the left, the Chun pair. Good shapes, already Ishanten.
Do you like holding on to the Dora 9 an extra turn, or just holding on to the east?
For who?
For Luke on the left. You already have the shapes, but you could pair it
I
up.
don't mind cutting it now. And interesting with that 4-5-5, you can also have a Sananko route. Like that may be much better value. But
Yeah,
you have to take the significantly worse weight.
I think either way you'd end up in the same place at this point.
Yeah. I think if you draw the 5-mon or the 7-pin, you take the Shampon Ricci, but
Yeet.
here you take the Shampon Ricci anyway. Like, just no chance at Sananko here.
Yeah, we have
Will be Ricci and potentially Chun. We see 1 7-pin in hand, so 2 Chun in the wall and 1 7-pin in the wall.
Tosaka across the table, Ishanten for Chitoi. Dealer Ishanten
And
as
Travis
well.
has to decide whether to push this 3 or the 6. I like the 6 more. Even with the 2-5, the 6 doesn't look particularly safe. But with the 9 having already come out, it's not likely to be that expensive. Uh-oh.
Hmm.
That, I think,
Don't.
also counts. That it does. Ricci Chun. And the Orador. And that Orador is big there. Because that puts Luke in not a great third, but at least a much more comfortable one. And similarly pushes Travis into a much more distant second place.
Yeah, if you can find one more Mongon direct on Travis, there's a battle for second all of a sudden.
Even if you just sumo 2 Mongons in the last 2 hands, that would do it. But we're starting off South 3. Dealer has a Hatsu pair, possibly Peiko, also potential Chitoi, but unlikely. On the right, we see, oh my goodness, Chun pair, Dora pair, great shapes. Might even call that. Doesn't, though. I think you have to call 5-mon if it comes out, but the 8's a little more debatable. Across the way, a whole bunch of tiles in Mon, but your shapes don't look good. Why is that? Oh, because you have the 5 will help. You had a 1, 2, 4, 4, 6, 8, 8. So you need the 3, 5, and 7. If you draw the 5, all of a sudden looks a lot better. And on the left, you have a potential Ricci, Ipeco, Pinfu. And that would be good enough, especially with Patsu or Ura, to definitely close the gap here. Even take over first place going into all last.
Well, Luke across the table has been drawing incredibly well. Drew pulled a connector to the 7-pin, now has a Samanchan and the Sozu. Ishanten for Ricci Putanyao. Is there a Sanshoku in there? Not quite.
No, not yet. You need a shift.
Grab a 7-mon.
That's not it.
Boom.
There's the Chun on the right. Could be Tempai if you'd called the 8 earlier, but instead still Ishanten, hoping that that pay will come out.
Yeah, but I think, you have the 6-7-7. That's probably the best shape in the hand.
Interesting choice here for Aaron. Do you cut the Hatsu and go Chitoi? Kind of floats the option here. We'll likely end up on the Shampoo.
Don't.
Oh, there's the pay draw, and the 2 comes right out. And there's a Mongon, and just like that, Luke is in 4th place again, going into all last.
Andre's pulling ahead again.
That's a really rough situation. Kept the 2 as a slightly safer tile than the 4.
Boom.
And then the Tempai, the turn right before Luke gets what he needs. And that's going to happen some of the time. We're in all last here, and I mean, unless we see a ridiculous sumo across the way, most likely we have Andres will be winning this game. The question is, can you get more? Has a pretty good starting in here. Not much value, but could easily be Ricci Pinfu. On the right, Ricci Pinfu Tanyao. Not seeing the Sanchoku yet, but potentially in there, especially get some shifts with some 4s. Across the way, we see the Shaw call, just trying to shut things down. Maybe Shaw Dora 2, maybe even Shaw Honitsu. Chun Dora 3 would be an interesting way, but running it out of tiles to do that. On the left, a bunch of pairs, well, not even a bunch. Feels like it's an attempt to shift to Tanyao because that's just awkward for everything. Well, there's another Chun across the way.
Well,
I think
Travis...
you cut the 6-mon here and at least keep your options open for that Hanemon.
If Travis can hit Mongon direct off of Andres, that will be enough.
Ooh, interesting draw here for Andres. Could keep the tone pair, figuring that no one else will ever be able to use the other one. So if one comes out, it will be thrown and then called for Tempai. Or alternatively, even if you're Ricci, is it ever going to be used? Probably not.
Boom.
Oh, that's 7's an instant call. Do you take Tempai? No, goes for the greed. That is absolutely a play for first.
You could cheat for Tempai there. Did not take the 3 pin.
Right. Well, again, if you're playing for the Hanemon, that doesn't really help you. But there's going to be Ricci, dealer
Eat.
Ricci. You absolutely take this one on 2-mon
Eat.
tone, and we see a tone on the left as well. Ooh, and there's a Ricci on the right with 3-mon, 8-mon, but I think that tone's going to come out pretty soon.
Yeah,
Maybe
Tempai,
this 5-so will come out first, but
Tempai across the table as well.
ooh, there's the Suji 8. Giving,
Oh,
uh-oh. And that will deal in Ricci tone. No Uradora, but does get an extra 4,900 with a 39 plus the Ricci stick, and continues the domination of this table. Is really looking as well to knock Travis under 30K, and Uradora would have made that super close.
Yeah, Andre.
But starts off with another pretty good hand here. 3 pairs, maybe Honitsu, maybe regular hand. Bunch of floaters, but feels like pretty good shapes. On the right, well, that's the kind of hand you're looking for. You need points. Is a Chinitsu Dora 3, Chinitsu callable. I guess no Dora yet because it is 3-pin, not the 2-pin. So I think he was going for the Chinitsu there and not really thinking much about it. Although you could go Chitoi now. I'm definitely cutting the 5-7. So
Yeah, you can start there
and
and see what happens.
Yeah, and that seems to be the play there as well. Across the way, that is already Tempai, I believe?
Yes.
Yeah, waiting on that 7-pin for Sumo Dora is what it'd be right now. Although if it's taken, I wonder if you Furi Tenrichi. On the left, decent shapes, I suppose. We're looking for that 5-6-7 Sanshoku, and we'll also need a pair. Feels slow, though.
Yeah, with the way this game is has been going, I think Trav is going to be willing to just sumo claim the positive second.
Right. You're looking for some sort of shape upgrade. Even if you draw maybe 6-mon, then you take the Ricci with the Tanyao.
Mm-hmm.
Three shows a huge pull there on the left for Aaron.
One of the major choke points filled. The other one being the 3-mon.
Well, now we have Ishan 10 on the right, but not much value, although that 3 will at least give it Dora. Ricci Sumo Dora would get out of last place.
Still 2 7-pin in the wall for Travis to draw.
Dealer needs to decide which of these shapes to cut. I would normally cut the 6-7 pin just because you have the overlap.
Might be a little bit concerned about dealing Pinzu into the hand to the right.
That is certainly an issue.
Four straight Sumogiri discards. I guess it's not necessarily an indication of Tempai, but you've probably noticed it by now if you're sitting at the table. And
Well, and then that's a Sumogiri Ricci. I think if you're going to Ricci that, you Ricci the 5-mon. Because you basically announced the table. My weight is garbage and it's likely in pin. At least that's how I'd be reading it if I were at the table. Oh, and now I have an Ishan 10 on the left. Oh, wait, no, that is not Ishan 10 because that's a 6, not a 4.
yeah, 2-pin's going to be hard to cut.
6 so is Nakasuji, though.
Really needs to draw
I guess
around.
the other thing is the dealer has no incentive to push whatsoever.
Yeah, the only greed would be the incentive.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with greed most of the time, but most of the time doesn't mean always.
Yeah, it looks like we will end this peacefully. Last tile.
And that's going to be the end of it. We're going to have one player Tempai.
It's safe to everybody, so Travis picks up the 3K.
But the big winner is Andres with 43.5. You have Travis at least getting something out of it with a 10.9. And of course, the monster hands in this game. And then you had Aaron taking third with minus 19.8. Luke taking a last there. Bit unfortunate that late Mungan deal in. Kept the relatively safe 2-mon until it came out at the very end. But that was the tile that was being looked for. And that will happen.
All right, well, congratulations to Andres there, and it looks like the second set of B1 matches has already started, so I'll throw the screen up while I attempt to find that match.
Now, the set we had been covering, it looks as they will be playing more games. We will be switching to the other B1 matches now.
Okay, so that table play multiple, probably all four then.
Yes, that's what it looks like. But this next matchup will be William, Haru, Claire, and Peter.
It'll take a second to have that load up. The names will also be a little bit delayed, but we'll get that in just a second. Dakota, Haru, Claire, and Peter looks like.
And we're in East 2. We see dealer here is, well, once we get the names up anyway. So we have Pororo up here in Ishan 10 with a Ryan Khan and a Ryanman for Richi Dora or Richi Pinfu Dora. On the right, an Ishan 10 for Toy Toy, Haku Dora 2 or 3, so potentially Hanemon there for Claire. It's going to be very hard to call this because you can see that there's definitely some switching being done behind the scenes here. I think we're synced up now.
Yes, we should be good now.
Okay, and on the left we have a Tempai on 2-5 so for Hatsudora. There's a call for Tempai from the dealer who is Haru, waiting on 7 so. Could change the weight.
8 so is dead though. So you'd just be waiting on the 8 pin. And that's one's left.
That 5 will fit nicely into the hand across the way. That 2 is going to deal in though. Just the 2,000 though, so you don't feel bad about that. Back to 30K. And Claire is dealer here in South 3. Looks like a 1-2-3 Sanshku hand. Other than that, pretty standard Pinfu. On the right, whole bunch of floating tiles. It's one of those where a couple draws will make the hand good, but right now it looks like it needs a lot of work. Across the way, we see a pawn of the 9 so, probably just going for the Toy Toy at this point. On the left, that also looks like a Pinfu hand. Maybe just a Tanya shift later, but definitely for like the Pinfu. Interesting draw there for Claire. Could try and finagle a... No, doesn't go for the Itsu here. Gives also up on the 1-2-3 Sanchuku. I don't know if I like that one.
Just checking.
But just going for probably the most direct path to Tempai. I feel you're losing a lot of value, but as dealer, you can be a little more aggressive about it.
I was just checking the names. I didn't notice that it was Kujira in the game. I believe is William in the place of Dakota. So I guess there was a substitute.
Okay, yeah, it looks that way.
So welcome, William. We don't have a name, unfortunately, for Kujira, but we can use that. Oops. We can use the in-game name there.
Oh, that's just tragic for Claire. Discards a Dora, and then the 1 pin, and then draws another Dora, a 1 so, and another Dora. This could have been Tanya Dora 3 at this point.
It always feels like you make that decision and then it backfires the next turn or the turn after.
Here was the 9 so had already come out, so unless it's used for the Tanya, it's not going to be that useful. But I like floating Dora when I have chances.
Wonder if there's any theory to the... If the 9's gone, then if you're going to use Dora, you're going to use it in a pair or an Anko.
Well, you could also still pull in the 7, and sure, one side of your weight's kind of dead, but it's the one you don't really want anyway.
One more call.
Or alternatively, the 6 and go for Tanya. But anyway, we're seeing that Toy Toy's starting to come together. It still feels pretty slow. I see a call of the Formon going for the Tanya shift there for Claire.
It feels like a concession now to do it with the door discarded, but
Oh, for sure.
now that we are nearing the end of the second row, you kind of need to make the play if you plan on continuing on.
Yeah, if you're sitting in Rian Shanten on turn 10, you know you're behind.
Gee,
And now we see a Tempai on the left on 3-6, and it may come out right here. You can tell Claire doesn't want to throw it.
Yeah, 2 cheese were led to a 6-8 cut, so you're assuming Tempai here.
Yeah, and you figure it's just going to be for the 1,000. I would push it just because you've thrown so many of the 8, so anyway, that it's just not going to deal into anything expensive. But it would absolutely deal in for the 1,000 here.
It looks like Claire not even willing to deal into 1,000.
つも
Well, they just draw it yourself. That'll make it 1,100 instead of 1,000.
Save yourself a few points there.
Move to East 4, and we see a bunch of pairs. 3 of them, maybe 4 or 5, 6 Sanjiku, maybe an Ipeco in So. You do have a lot of floaters, though. Now you're definitely thinking Chitoy with that draw. This hand's so awkward right now. Otherwise, on the right, I don't know, what do you do with that? I think you're floating the idea of Junchan or 1, 2, 3 Sanjiku somehow. Don't have any good insights into that. Well, now you're kind of thinking Itsu. I'm definitely throwing the South here. Throws the Dora. Okay, I don't really like the Dora discard. I think the South is a little more useless to this hand anyway, because of course you can't use it unless you pair it up. Then you could call, but you still have terrible shapes everywhere. Across the way, though, we have Pinfu type hand with the floating Dora as well. On the left, we have a tone pair. Decent shapes, not much value though.
Peter decides to make the shift to Tanyao. Just throws all those honors out. We have an entire row of honors. There's Ipeco chance, and even a somewhat distant Ipeco chance. You can also incorporate the Dora 7 so now in the 7, 8, 9 shape, or 6, 7, 8.
I definitely cut a 9 mon there. Instead goes and cuts the floating Dora. I feel that's something a lot of players in B1, kind of the B2 to low A2, is they don't float the Dora as much as you may see in a lot of A1 matches. Because I'm sure this comes as a surprise, but that is an easy way to build value, is just pair up your Dora.
Yeah, and well, things getting exciting for Peter. Now you've drawn the 5 so.
Yeah, now it's starting to come together a little bit, but you need another one.
Well, there are 1 in the wall. There's 1 left.
Yeah, your alternative is drawing the 7 so Dora, which would also be perfectly fine.
Absolutely. And Claire on the left Ishanten for the East-only hand.
No, there's a backfire on the right.
Oh,
Having just cut the 9 pin, so of course you'll fill in that Kanchan the next turn. That's just how it always works. Manages to dodge it, and there's the 5 draw. So across the way, that is starting to build to something useful. The problem is that 8's going to come out on a Ricci unless it pairs up. But there's the first 8, and we'll deal into the 1,000.
yeah, the Itsu was coming together, but just not in time.
And we are now in South round, and the game's very close.
Yeah, definitely not the fireworks that we saw in the last set.
Well, it's just as important to stop other people from building big hands as it is to build them yourself. We're in South 1. Deer has a nice little Ricci, Pinfu, Tanyao, Sanchigu hand coming together here. Going to need the 5s or the 6, 7, 8, the 5, 6, 7, or 6, 7, 8 for that Sanchigu, but it's certainly possible there. On the right, we see Shaw pair, 3 Dora. So the answer is, how do you get this open with that 3 Dora? And I'm not seeing it.
Yeah.
Those are so frustrating. I have 3 Dora and it's just slow. It's slow and there's nothing I can do about it.
Yeah, really.
Across the way, looks like a Pinfu hand. You do have the Ryankan and Kanchan to fill though. And on the left, looks like a Tanyao hand. If you draw a 3 pin, it would be Ipeco Tanyao though.
5-mon kind of interesting. Now you can draw the 2-mon or the 4-mon if you're dealer. Yeah, I'm really interested to see how he plays this hand on the right. Because it's one of those where you are constructing a hand. So every decision here is actually really important.
Well, now there's a distant, maybe 3, 4, 5 Sanchiku, but it's still everything is so slow. I'd have just cut the 8 so instead, but I can certainly see the 3 pin, especially with the having cut the 1 earlier. But it's just not going to be the fastest hand at this table. That is likely to be the one across the way, which now Ishan 10 rounding around for Richie Pinfu, or the dealer here who potentially has this monster.
Yeah, maybe
Could even call that one. I don't know that I like it simply because you're going to need the 6-mon later. But you could certainly
Gee.
take it though.
decides it's getting late enough that they need to move this hand forward a little bit.
Yeah, this is one where I don't hate it. Oh, well, okay. If you just draw the perfect tile the next time, great.
So
You would normally cut the 4 here so you can con the 3. Instead, takes the more standard shape, but you do
Yeet.
lose out on the acceptance elsewhere. Now we have a Ricci across the way for Ricci Nomi. Although if you do draw Dora, that would be extra value.
get the 3-sided.
Just waiting on the 3, 6, and 9, and we're starting to see them slowly disappear. 1, 3 left, 0, 6s left, and 1, 9 left.
So only 2 left for Asamenchan? That is rough.
Uh-oh. This may do.
Or it's a little bit safer.
Well, there's the sumo. A nice dodge on the left first, not throwing the 6 pin, taking the dama, waiting on the 5 pin, and then a sumo for Kujira, pulling in the 1500 plus the Ricci stick, and goes into first place.
Very nice. And those Ricci sticks are actually so important with these score lines.
Anytime you have a close game like this, every 1,000 is huge. I mean, if dealer here with a, ooh, how greedy do you want to be with? Okay, not that greedy. Probably going for the Ricci Nomi here instead of the super greedy Jun-chan play.
Yeah, there is a
On
path.
the right, we have the double non-pair, so I think you just call and go. I'd even call the 8. I'm just trying to speed that up because the value of a 2,000 hand, especially with floating Dora, is enough for me. Across the way, that is already Ishan 10 for Ricci Tanyao. And on the left, we have a Haku pair, and that is also Ishan 10.
Boom.
Well, there's the south call. So now this hand is going to be willing to open up. The dealer Ishan-ten, you said Toyman and Kamicha also Ishan-ten, so everyone's getting super close.
Boom.
Upgrades Ryonkon on the left now, and there is Tempai across the way waiting on 5-so. Ooh, there's a Tempai for the dealer. Dama's waiting on 3-6 for
Boom.
just the pinfu, and it comes out immediately.
Interesting. I feel like usually you throw the stick in there, but maybe not willing to risk a Ricci stick with this tight score line.
That's probably the thinking. I definitely Ricci, especially as dealer there. You figure everyone's going to push anyway if they have anything worthwhile. But regardless, it is South 1. Dealer has interesting passing the Shaw. Could have gone for the Honitsu there, probably keeping it closed just for normal. Now the Shaw is dead, so that is locked in as your pair. This will be a closed hand with the Pinfu type shapes. On the right, we have similarly Pinfu shapes, maybe a 5, 6, 7 Sanchiku eventually, but that seems a long way off. Across the way, that's definitely a Pinfu type hand, but no value unless you draw a Dora. And on the left, we have a Chun pair and a bunch of other pairs. Well, now it's looking like Chuni Peiko. So lots of ways to make value to this hand, but if you talking Peiko shapes and pairs elsewhere, well, that means you're on your way to 7. So that is also a consideration.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no one has drawn the Dora yet. It's a little bit hard to use. Well, there we go. There's one.
Well, yeah, you just had to say something.
Right. Oh, and it doesn't even accept the Mon shape. Likes the shapes elsewhere. It's Haru who finds the Ricci first. Ricci 4-7 Mon for that. That's just Ricci Nomi.
Yep, just
Gee.
Richinomi. You would have the two Homa in the middle, so it's not as bad as a Richinomi would be. But even if it weren't, a turn 5 Richinomi is very strong.
Even if it ends up just being 1900, that's totally fine with the scoreline.
Well, at 8
Boom.
months, a very scary tile to draw. Interesting, throwing the Chun instead of the 5. The 5 is now Nakasuji, given that the Tuso came out.
Interesting. The three pin is actually safe here.
Well, 2 pins all of a sudden safe, so you have to think very hard about that one. Now that 4-7 looks scary.
So this is Tempai.
You have Ada Yonken with the 3 and the A making 4-7 scary, but there's the other 4, the correct one, which is Sumo and Ricci. Sumo, no aura, but will get Pororo over 30,000 yen. That is Haru, who will now be dealer in South 2. And you see maybe a 1, 2, 3 Sanshoku, and honestly, other than that, not too much. On the right, decent shapes. You have the value with the Dora, can also accept another Dora. Maybe you have 5, 6, 7 Sanshoku as well. Across the way, Pinfu hand. You do have 2 Penchan to get rid of, though. That's a bit frustrating. And on the left, what I consider by far the best hand, with the
Boom.
Shaw and non-pairs going for the Honitsu. You also have floating Dora if it turns into something more conventional.
Yeah, William there spent some time thinking about whether or not to drop the 6-4 shape. Did end up deciding to do that, and then immediately got the South. So it does look like we'll be leaning towards the Honitsu route. The dealer's hand. I guess you want to make this Tanyao.
We have an Ishan 10 on the right. Not really the one you're looking for, but I think you have to take it. Oh, do you con?
Kang.
There's the con. Adds 2 pin as a Dora. And dealer says, thank you very much. If I have an excuse to open, I certainly will now.
Yeah, unfortunately drew the wrong side of that Samanchan and the Manzu.
Right, you'd love to be able to open with the Tanya and just go.
And if you draw the 3, so you're not extremely happy.
Well, you're fine with that, though.
Yeah, I
It's an
think you just
easier
have
issue.
to. This
Could even
Sanshoku.
Dama with the Sun. Yeah, Ricci, Sanshoku, Dora, and 2 Aura chances. The 3 so is 3 left in the wall.
Yeah, oh,
And of course, you know it would be
Yeet.
a 1 chance, but no one else would. And there is the Ricci on the right on that 2 pin. There is 1 left in the wall.
wow.
Would be Ricci, Dora 2. So it's a 1 versus 3. And there's a Tempai across the way. You could
Yeet.
smash the button and also wait on 3 so and will.
Well, things have gotten exciting. And poor William
Well, we're about to see if Sun So betrays Claire here, because this would be very expensive.
Yeah, William is the only player who can defend here. Isn't with 2 door indicators, isn't really in a position to fight either.
Now you have the Suji, but it doesn't matter with 2 Richis. You're getting all sorts of safe tiles every turn.
Well, these haven't actually been too helpful for William. So you have the 4 now, and the 7. Okay.
Well, 7's plenty. And the 9's going to be safe for the rest of the hand, barring something very strange. It'd be Sotoga to 2 players and
Could call into
Gimitsu
Tempai
to the
here.
3rd. Do you?
3-6 not
Let's
looking
see,
safe.
The 3-6 not looking very good.
Yeah, it does
I
not take
think
it.
the EV play is to just call it anyway, but when you're in first place, I can certainly accept the hesitance here.
3-so has not been found.
Where are they? Tupin hasn't been found either.
Oh my
Oh, there it
goodness!
is! The hell and Ricci's Sumodora too, and Claire has no idea how fortunate that was. Will take over first place.
Well, I'm guessing Claire does have some idea about how fortunate it was, but wow. Where are those three so? Are they all three in the dead wall? There's
We
only,
had
what, one draw left?
I believe. So they were either in the dead wall or the very last draw.
At least two of them
That's
were.
really unfortunate for the other two players here with Haru and Peter. But we move to South 3. Claire is now in the lead. Opens up a decent gap now with that Mangan Sumo. Has a Ricci Pinfu, possible Tanya Dora too, especially with that draw. That is the perfect draw.
Well, they
Of course,
things
it is Ishan 10. If you draw the 5 pin, you'd be fine with Ricci Pinfu Dora too.
I'm almost expecting it at this point. Oh, that's
Well,
tempting
I think
though.
Pwn.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely calling this.
A dealer
I
manga?
can tell Claire's thinking about it.
Boom.
Yep.
You wouldn't have a parry yet, but you wouldn't necessarily need to worry about it. You could fix that later. Not to mention it scares everyone else at the table. And you look at the rest of these hands, and they're not good.
No.
There's an Ishan 10 across the way, but even that isn't very good.
All right, slightly improved Ishan 10 now. All right, I'll say significantly improved Ishan 10.
Yeah, that's a significant improvement, but you're still a bit off.
Ah!
Oh, here's your backfire. Because that would have been your Pinfu, and that would have been fine.
So much for
You're
significant
gonna see
improvement.
Very cautious play with that Dora call. Oh, and another backfire. Another 2.
That's a
there's
pair.
your Tempai waiting on 4-7. Mon for Mangan.
This is just too strong. I know Peter likes Tanyo, but
That 8 is a push. I think I'd just cut the pay there. There's nothing suggesting it is Tempai yet, unless it is on the 3-6.
Boom.
But there it is. And Kujira deals into the Mangan, and Claire is now taking control of game 1.
so now the goal, continue to rack up the score, make sure everyone stays below 30,000 if you're Claire.
Yeah, Claire is at minus 51.7, so definitely trying to get back towards that plus minus 0. And doesn't really have the best hand for it. Ricci, Pinfu, maybe a Dora. On the right, we see a Chun pair and a bunch of ugly shapes. Ryankan, floater, terminal, and Kanchan. So that's not a good hand. Across the way, we see 4
Gee.
pairs and including a Haku. Goes and calls the 9, but one of those pairs is Dora, so you don't feel quite as bad about it. You only need the Haku to pull in a Yaku, though. On the left, feels like a Pinfu type hand, especially when you pull in the 3-pin. Not much value, though.
Claire does pick up the second Hatsu, so we can see a call. Try to speed it up a little bit. Oh, there's your Haku.
Boom.
And Kujira says, I'm not done yet. Of course, right now it just looks like a 1,000-point hand. They don't know what's actually waiting for them.
5, so the Dora still in the wall. Would be extremely ideal to draw that, not reveal your Dora bomb to everyone. This is Tempai, but it's a
Now
Hellweight.
Tempai waiting on the Hellweight 6, so that's kind of... That is now an Ishan 10 on the left for either Ipeko or Sananko.
You should then for dealer as well. Would be using the Huts as a pair, but with one out, might be a while before you can see the last one.
Right. With a situation like that, you're wondering, do I just go for the Honitsu?
Boom.
Ooh, the 7. Yeah, I absolutely call this. That's so much of a better weight. And you still haven't given any information, because the 6 makes it look like, okay, well, I was waiting for that Dora, but it's not coming, so I'll just take my 1,000.
Mm-hmm. Oh, here's a 5.
And there's the 5 could come out right here. You can see some hesitation.
Definitely doesn't look safe with that pond.
롱,
The deal's in. That could be 39 plus the 300 for the Homba, 4,200. And all of a sudden, there's a tough fight for third place.
Claire, a little bit disappointed probably that she didn't get the chance to expand the lead, but not disappointed in the
No,
sense
that's
that.
great for Claire. You're looking at these scores going, this is exactly what I wanted.
Mhm.
But that dealer hand is not what you want if you're Claire. Because you see Peter here starting off with an absolute monster, potentially Ipeco Hakudora too.
And Hatsu, the door is still in the wall. There's one to the hand to the right. The hand looking a little bit sloppy with 3 pairs.
Yeah, hand on the right, few pairs, not much else though. Floating door across the way. We have an Anko of the pay, but again, just not good, no value. On the left, we see the pair of Southwind, so I think you're just going to call and go with anything. And you're clear. You don't need extra value here. Oh my goodness, how greedy do you want to be here if you're Peter?
Well, you wish you had the door
answer
back.
is we want all of it. Give us all.
Yeah, there's a backdoor
Oh.
Chitoy, but we'll call any Monzu here.
Right. Would love to upgrade a Toy Toy as well. Would be so sad to win Bakuhon with this hand. The Honitsunomi.
Mm-hmm. Using the Haku as the pair. Could switch to Toy Toy for a Hadu. Especially if you're reading that Peter might drop the 4s. The 4-pin, rather. But the 4-pin is actually going to hand to the right.
Well, the other thing is your hand isn't worth anything closed anyway, so you don't feel bad about it.
봄,
No, I think you just call this. I'd pwn it for sure. Get
Oh.
some value out of this. Cut the 3, so yeah.
Yeah, if your Hadu 2600 is enough to claim 3rd, and if you hit Peter directly, that will also claim 2nd.
Well, Tempai across the way, but no Yaku. Decided to just throw it back. Now, say for Claire, that Tumon's kind of floating out in dangerous territory. May get very bad later. Could Chi here? I think you do. You have to throw that too. I'd just Chi it and take your Tempai. Maybe worried about running out of safe toss if you do it, though. Because we know that would put dealer into Tempai for Mongon. And see, this is the problem. You call the 9, you
Gee.
told everyone you're Otozuki on a uh-oh. Wait, no, that's safe. You've told the table you're Otozuki on a Yakuhai and most likely Dora.
Yeah,
Like if you could signal to the table that's what you have, you'd be perfectly fine. Everyone would be fine throwing into it. But and okay, that'll be enough. But that does end up locking Haru into 4th place.
Mhm.
Claire does win the handoff of that. And will be the big winner here with 49,300. 39.3, definitely taking control here. You have Peter with a small second at minus 4.5, Kujira, our substitute, at minus 11, and Haru at minus 23.8. So close fight there for second, but Claire just took over in South round, and when one player does that, this is what happens.
Yeah, for the majority of the game, it was extremely tight. I think when we started the South round, everyone was like within 1,000 to 2,000 points of each other. Now let's see if we can get a refresh here for the standings. As we,
I guarantee you, Claire is feeling very much of the, man, I needed that.
And
Yeah,
here we
I
go.
don't see if Dakota is withdrawn. I don't know what's actually the situation here, but is not showing up, at least here in Discord.
Yeah, so we
The
do
B1
see
standings, so I don't know what's going on there.
Claire will makes it up to negative 12. So from negative 51, now almost back to even. Haru up there as well. And Peter with a small negative, still 7th place overall.
Yeah, but regardless, Claire's now out of the demotion zone for sure. Of course, it doesn't take that much to get back in it, but it's always better to feel on the top of the bubble than on the bottom of it.
Absolutely. In a second, we're going to get to look at the full screen of the B1 standings. So currently, Peter in promotion range. The cut line is plus 21 currently. So Hadu and Claire definitely within reach. Also, I think there was a game result from the other table that we were watching a little bit earlier, the other B1 match. I'm trying to see if this is the one. We already saw that one. We already saw that. Oh, no. I was looking at an old result. We still don't have a third game summary just yet. But the second game of the current table has begun, and so after a little bit of delay, we'll be able to step in there.
Yeah, I started a couple of minutes ago, so I don't think we need to go on a break here. We just look at these stats and going, how much is it going to take? That's always the question. And of course, if you're any of these players, you'd love to get into that top 9, which is certainly not out of range for anyone, but you certainly don't want to drop down into the B2 division.
Yeah, it's looking like the battle for the lower end is going to be quite interesting. I mean, Alec right now at plus 104, it isn't the largest lead that we see out of, all the divisions in terms of who's in first. That Travis S, a close second. But Rachel, Matthew, Michael, all in pretty good standing. Philip as well, Peter as well. And there's just a gap from the plus 40 to the plus 20 where there's a clump of players right outside that 9th promotion spot. So
yeah, I don't see Dakota anywhere. May have withdrawn from the league, so that means the cutoff is a little rougher than it may be. We're gonna have to talk to league manager to figure out what's going to happen at that last slot. But regardless, you're looking at a pretty even spread here. You have a significant gap between Garrick and Luke, but that's with just one game. So it's certainly achievable for anyone here.
it looks like the next match will start in about 1 to 2 minutes. Booting it up right now. So we have got the full league overview, at least top 4 for all these divisions. Quite a large look at A1, but at least we have the top 4 from all the other divisions. And we can see that for B1, Alex 104 is kind of similar to Shane's 101 in B2. Outside of that, there's a pretty clear gap between those first place scores and the first place scores in the other divisions. Steve at 157 in A1, Zilong at 160 in A2, along with Kaz, who's also up there as well. And in B3, Jeff just absolutely running away with things 10 games into it. 0 fourth places, and a plus 197 is quite strong.
Well, if you're averaging plus 20 per game, you're going to dominate just about anything.
Yeah, and so looking forward, I mean, I'm not sure if I'm willing to call it just yet, Jeff's promotion into the B2 division. But
there
halfway through the
season,
season,
many promotions in B3 that I would say it is likely.
Yeah, with 11,
it's not projected, but likely.
So hopefully we'll be able to see Jeff play in B2 next season. Really looking forward to that.
Yeah, A1 wasn't as isolated as it is now, but Bishan took a couple rough thirds, and that's who was in second going into this session. So Steve, definitely. We talk about 20-point average wins is good enough to have control, and even in A1, that's true. We have a game starting now. Dealer has decent shapes. We have 3, 4, 5 Sanchiku. You'd also like to pull in a Dora. On the right, we see a potential 1, 2, 3 Sanchiku. Not really. I guess it's just more of a standard Pinfu hand. Of Across the way, we see 3 pairs, but probably not enough for Chitoy. Feels just slow overall. And on the left, couple pairs, maybe Nepeko in upper pin, a floating Dora. I mean, every hand here looks slow.
Yeah, we'll be definitely constructing the hands here. I'm wondering how likely it is that Peter will turn this dealer hand into Tanyao. I feel like
Tanyao? Yeah, that's what I do.
somehow Peter has the knack for doing that, where I'm like, all right, I'm just going to make Ricci Dory here or something like that. He always somehow finds Tanyao out of it.
Well, hand on the right starting to get very good. Now potentially Ricci Pinfu Tanyao.
You have all of the diamond shapes you need to make sequences.
Well, for your Peter, you're definitely thinking Tanyao now.
Yep.
Even if you weren't before, this hand just screaming for it. If you can get that 3-so or 8-so, you just call and go. You don't even mind the floating 5. Although that makes your decision even easier. Interesting cutting the 7-1. I'm just cutting 9-so there.
Asian for Claire, and even draws the upgrade in the 4-so for a potential Tanyao.
Also keeps the potential for a Sanshoku up.
Yeah, 3, 4, 5 definitely
That
possible.
feels like a bit of a backfire on that 5-mon draw.
Slight shape improvement for William across the table. Oh, and draws another Dora, so
Ooh, now you're just looking for an excuse to call. I'm cutting 1-so, 1-so, and just pawning.
yep, does make the call to shift to Tanyao there. And the hand on the left has that Ipeko that's kind of hard to get. The 7s are locked away in the other hands. So you might end up just dropping the 8-pin, 9-pin, because you have all the sequence shapes you need elsewhere. Interesting from Peter dropping the 7-pin there instead of something like
Still
the 3.
floating the Sanshoku.
Yeah. You can also drop the 6, I suppose.
Now just take the Tanya, though. Of course, if you draw another 6, you can always cut the 3 and get your Sanshoku that way. But for now, just looking for that 4, which is completely dead. But Tenpai payments are good enough.
7
The Tenpai on the right, also for 1,000 on the 6-9. Of course, the 9 is no Yaku.
But at least you'll probably get Keiten Hero, unless you have to defend against this Ricci.
Ooh, Ricci Pinfu Dora 2 on the 2-5 weight.
I think 2 left at first glance. 2 of the 2-mon left in the wall.
We see 4 discarded and 2 in hand, so that'd be 2 left. Tenpai option there for Peter if you throw the 3 or the 5. We'll throw the 3. 9 safe to everyone. 2 is not, though. But nothing. You're not getting Tenpai out of this. You just play the safe tile and does. There will be 3 players Tenpai.
Alright, so this game's starting out like the last one. Quietly.
Dealer has a few pairs, not much value here though. Maybe Honitsu, maybe a 5, 6, 7, or 7, 8, 9 Sanshoku. I don't really like this hand. Anytime you have a hand that has a total of 1 even numbered tile in it, that tends to be frustrating. On the right, we see a Haku pair, which is Dora. So this is very much a call and go. Maybe Honitsu, but I don't think you're playing particularly fancy here. You take whatever you can get. Across the way, that looks like a Pinfu shape. Pretty good ones altogether. Not much value yet. And on the left, that feels like a Pinfu type hand, maybe an Itsu in pin, but feels a little far away. And if you don't draw the right tile specifically, it's just going to reach Ichinomi bed weight. And that 4-so doesn't make you feel any better.
I mean, you're happy to have a tile, but the decision after that is a little bit difficult. It's not really improving your other shapes.
You're not sure what to convert it into. I like the 3, 4, 5 Sanshoku that you could turn this into, but you have the 7, 9, and 2 suits you're going to have to get rid of or fill at least one of.
Oh, there's your backfire. You still have the Tanya Red. You can draw the 6 here.
Instead, cuts the 4, plays for more efficiency but less callability.
3 pin's a nice pickup to the right, though. And 2 away.
Oh, well, there's your 8 that you're looking for. So now Ishan 10, but still just for Ichinomi. Wait, what?
Oh, I think
That has to have been
yeah.
misclick.
Sometimes I forget to turn off right-click auto discard, and I accidentally like grab my mouse and hit that right-click. Tsumogiri when I am not intending it. Super unfortunate.
Yeah, really rough there. We see Haru drawing a Haku and saying, yeah, let's not.
Yeah, that is smart. That's exactly what Claire needs. Oh, that's interesting.
Well, now it's which side of the Ryokan do you want? Takes the 5-7 instead of the 3-5.
It's also
I fully expect Haru to fold from here.
Yeah, once you've lost that efficiency, it was already kind of rough to begin with. Well,
maybe.
you can Doratanki. No, this
well,
Haku.
There's the last Haku, so.
Yeah, Peter not willing to drop that
and
either.
4 is a very interesting tile. I kind of want to cut the 4-mon.
I might even. I was gonna say straight up throw the
I'm
5,
absolutely not
but
going to Tsumagiri that. Yeah, okay, goes with the 4-mon. Because if you end up Riichi, Dora 2, and waiting on the 7, you don't feel bad about it.
Mhm.
Oh, well, there's a fill-in for
Home.
Peter. Oh, there's your Dora waiting on that 7-mon, which actually looks pretty safe against you. And there's a template on the left, would be Shampoo 9 and 7. The 9 is dead. I definitely like throwing the 7 back. You're going to throw the 9 instead.
Yeah, it's sort of interesting just retaining this Haku as a save tile.
I don't hate keeping the Haku safe tile, but I definitely would throw 9 so instead. I don't mind the Tempai either, of course,
Mhm.
even without a Yaku, but I can understand you're a little worried about what Dealer's doing right now.
Yeah, if Dealer's willing to throw Dora this late, they're probably, if not Tempai, very close to it with something worth pushing.
Right.
So this is another Tempai.
Would be Furi 10 waiting on 2-5, so.
Well, there's some of those in the wall. 3 left. Sumo Chance is still alive.
Yes, we know that Claire's 7 is locked up. Or is it? Okay. Yeah, no reason to push here and get fancy when you're not even getting Tempai. Now that would be Tempai here. You absolutely call this, and I'm cutting the 4. Yeah, good play there.
Yeah, Genbutsu to the Danger Dora hand.
To the dangerous hand, yeah, you just call and move on.
Nice pickup from William.
3 players Tempai, and we move to East 2.
So it's another one of those Yukioku games.
Dealer has Pinfu shapes, floating Dora, maybe a distant Itsu and so. On the right, that looks like a 1-2-3 Sanshoku. Across the way, pretty standard Pinfu. You do need the 3-so, and I'm not seeing much value yet. And on the left, maybe an Itsu in Pin, otherwise just a Riichi Pinfu. Maybe a Dora if you draw the 5-so, though. Well, now you pair up that 8-mon. Riichi Pinfu Tanya Dora would be perfect. No, you absolutely do not call that. Oh, okay. Maybe if you are Kujira, let's see, what is the rest of this hand? The rest of this hand's kind of yuck.
I mean, you're aiming for Tanya or Tanya Dora at this point.
Right. Of
Which
course, the
there,
one.
there is a
comes.
Ricci
well,
stick.
okay, if you draw the 4 the next turn, all of a sudden it looks a lot better.
Yeah, there's a Ricci stick. There's 2 Honba, and it's been a tight game for 2 games in a row. So, also, I don't know if William is a member of any of the clubs, but maybe he's familiar with Claire as a
Well,
well-known
Tempai
member.
now, waiting on that 2-5, so there are 5 in hands and 3 in the wall.
Could just be trying to shut down this dealership.
Yep. And the 1600 is not a bad bonus for doing so.
Mhm.
An interesting situation. If the 2 Mon were to come out, would you con it?
Sure.
Yep, I would too.
Does it look like it will come out? I don't think anybody can use it until this 3 Mon was
No.
drawn.
Well, yeah, now it could be used. Ooh, that's a good draw, but the rest of the hand's still kind of awkward to use.
I need about 2 more of those.
There's your 2. I think the 9 comes
Sumo.
out first. Yeah.
Oh,
Well, there's the sumo.
didn't get the chance for it.
Commentators not biased on behalf of a specific person, but definitely biased on behalf of action.
Yeah, give us the cons. We want to see them.
Let's see, interesting hand here for Kujira. Could be Chanta, Sanshoku, Dora, Haku, depending on how this goes.
Mm.
On the right, we see a Chun Onko and great shapes. Wow. And cutting 6 Mon here. Instead cuts the 3. Now that does leave you open to 4-ton, and you can no longer accept the Dora. That's why I'd cut the 6 Mon instead, but does make the shape look a little better in so. Across the way, you're thinking Itsu in Mon. On the left, you're thinking, well, there are shapes here. You have a Dora, Ricci, Pinfu, Tanya, Dora, but you're a long way. You have so many floaters. When you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 floaters, it doesn't feel good.
Kuchida here decides to play multiple blocks instead of solidifying one shape versus the other.
And Kujira is moving towards the 3, 4, 5 Sanshoku.
Mm. It was kind of awkward to the right. Hadu had drawn the pair of the 5 so, and has this weird multi-pair situation. It does find Tempai with that call.
I don't think the 5 comes out yet. I think both of those 5s are pretty lodged in their hands. Although the 7 could be a shift.
See,
I would definitely cut the 5 so here
Yeah.
and wait on the 6-9. Even with so many of them out, you figure it's so hard for anyone to use at this point.
4 are visible, but you
Might even
Gee.
see a call here, and will.
that technically helps the hand there. That's your pair.
Tempai for dealer pulls in a Dora. It'll just be the Haku Dora.
Home.
Oh, and there's a pawn, and there's the 6 so comes out after that switch, and that will be the 1300 and will not clear down to 30,000, which is 3rd place, but it's still relatively early.
Yeah, that 1300 claims first.
East 4, dealer has a south pair, but not much else. Maybe a distant 1, 2, 3 Sanshoku, but you can't really like that hand you're seeing it. On the right, similarly, just not a great hand. Maybe an Ipeco in Mon, but not much else. Crossway, a better Ipeco in Mon around the same tiles, but everywhere else just kind of ugly. And on the left, a couple pairs, and everywhere else is ugly.
All right,
Yuck,
so
yuck, yuck, and yuck.
hand construction time. Who can draw the best and mold shapes more efficiently than the other players. Well, draws looking to right look very strong.
Yeah, Peter working towards that Itsu and Mon, which would definitely be your value.
Haru hanging on to that east, hoping to pair it up and be able to claim double tone. We haven't seen any discarded yet, so perhaps thinking they're likely to be in the wall still. Or paired up somewhere else.
Well, how greedy do you want to be? We're about to find out.
Yeah, sticks with the east
The answer
first.
is not very. Doesn't sell out for the Honitsu.
If you start to move that direction, do you like cutting the 2-4 weak Dora shape or the 4-5 strong shape?
Ooh, I don't know. I kind of want to cut the south pair even more than the east floater. Because I don't want to end this hand with a Bakuhon, which if you keep the south pair just feels like it's going to be the most likely outcome.
You shot down to the right.
But instead playing it relatively efficiently. Okay, so what do you think about Chitoy instead?
I mean, at this point, I'll take anything.
Speaking of Chitoy, that hand on the left is starting to look a bit like
Oh,
it.
that's a commit.
And that too is definitely a sellout for Chitoy. Not even keeping the option open for the Suanko.
Yeah, the 1 and 2 pin don't look amazing. I might have tried throwing
Yeah,
one
I
of those
definitely
first.
got the 1 instead. Yeah, the 1 and the 2 are both 1 left.
But it always feels like when you do that, you get the last one.
Well, yeah, but if you draw the 3, if you want the 3, you don't cut the 2 so from
Right.
the Anko. That's actually a useless tile.
All right, there's pair number 5 for Haru.
It's such a bad feeling to have a Chito where you have 1 pair that isn't in the suit.
Yeah, what could have been.
Okay, now I'm just selling out on the Honitsu. I would cut the 5 here.
It gives you options to call, and at this point, you might need that speed.
Yeah. The issue is the 1 so is dead.
That does make
and
it
that
difficult.
would be your most callable tile.
But at least you can
More
grab.
backfires on the left for Kujira.
Boom.
Tempai on the right for Tanya Nomi, waiting on 3 Mon 6 pin. There are 1 of each left.
Has the south come out? We see 1 to the left, so 1 in the wall.
Ooh, just casually yeets the door into that. That's a very aggressive play. Tempai across the way waiting for that 2-5 so. Whereas we know so many of them are locked in Kujira's hand. Oh,
Well.
that's an easy cheat. Call the 2-4 and cut the 9.
Gee,
1 south left for how did you win with?
I mean, if it comes, you don't think it's dangerous. You're going to throw it. Because what's this hand going to be? It's going to be Honitsu.
Interesting. William hanging on to this
There's
west.
no Dora. There's really nothing else that's useful here.
Likely see it come out
There's
later.
your east. Took a while, shall we say.
Oh, here's the south. Oh, no.
dum.
Oh no, I think the Shaw is a better discard. I'd have to look a little closer to be sure.
Yeah, it just come out
Does
from the
deal
right.
in.
Still very tight. It was only 2,900.
But those types of little mistakes that add up over the course of a season. But we are in East 4-1. Dealer has a pretty nice starting end here for potentially Ricci, Pinfu, Tanyao, Ipeco, or maybe a Dora. Lots of value there. On the right, significantly less value, but you can pull in a Dora. And looks like Ricci Dora is the most likely path for the hand. Across the way, you see the Haku Call. And I think that's just a quick 1,000 or 2,000 point hand. Still looking for the pair here, but would like to accept a Dora. And on the left, we see a 9 pin call, just planning on calling the tone and going with the 1-2 Shumpon. Maybe also a potential Chanta shift later, but unlikely.
It will be difficult to make that happen. East yet to be seen, but dealer can find Tempai closed. That looks very expensive.
Well,
there's a
I mean,
start.
Chanta is looking more likely now. With 1-3 could call for Chanta Nomi.
Yeah, if you draw the 3, drop the 6, you can still call the East and wait on the 1 pin, 1-4, but 1 will give you Chanta as well. Oh, okay. New plan. Honitsu.
I actually don't hate this
Yeah.
because now you've gotten your 5th shape out of this hand. It's not like you've lost that much efficiency.
Yeah, 7 is a
The
little
2's the
difficult.
most likely thing to come in. You just don't know the 2's are both locked up.
We see Tempai across the way. Nobetan 4-7 so, but look at the
Good
number of
luck with
tiles.
that.
Yeah, there's 1 left.
And it's more that there's no reason for it ever to leave Peter's hand.
Could we possibly see Chanta Honitsu? Here's a 1.
No, because you're running out of 3s. That'll be a pawn.
Home.
You have to pawn and cut 1 so, don't you?
We have yet to see an East.
Tanyao, Ishan 10 for Peter there. Looking for the 2-5 and the 7. 7 is a very in-demand tile right now.
Mm-hmm. And Haru's got 2 of them, and 1's called to the left, so there's only 1 in the wall to be drawn. I guess there's still 1 more 7 so. Yeah, everyone's just
Would
waiting
even
for that
switch the weight, but I don't know if you'd ever want to.
1 tile. There's another Dora. You gonna throw this stick in? No. Just Dama for the
Just
Ipeco.
takes the Peiko, Tanya, Dora 2, waiting on that 6, which could come out from Kujira. Ooh. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a
Good
Chinitsu route.
cons, but not going to take it. Yeah, I don't have a problem with this.
Yeah.
Just now you don't want
Oh,
that
no.
7. Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. No, I think we all know what's going to happen now.
Oh, Claire dodges.
Well, good play.
Yeah,
Good
Claire.
play by Claire. Successfully reads that, wait a second.
Home.
And there's the call. Which weight? Okay, it is the 8.
So
Keeps
many
the safe
dodges.
one. And another Dora. Uh-oh.
Oh,
I
no.
think it deals in.
リーチ
I think you have to throw the 2. Oh,
Don't.
deals the 6, which deals in anyway.
Wow, that was set up by Claire,
Wow.
not dealing the 7.
That is a great play by Claire. Saved a lot of trouble.
And William with
But
the
of course,
vision.
the big winner there's Kujira.
Yeah.
And
Turning
it does end up winning with that 6,400 and a direct hit. So is now in a much better position in first place.
Mhm.
Move to South Round. Peter is dealer here with a Ricci, Pinfu, Dora, maybe Tanya Ipeco. On the right, we see maybe Itsu in So, maybe a Honitsu as well across the way. Looking at Ricci, Pinfu, maybe Ipeco, maybe a distant Chanta, but that looks gone now. And on the left, that looks like a standard Pinfu hand. Maybe a 4, 5, 6 Sanjuku, but seems a bit far off as well. And a floating Dora.
Yeah, Dio's hand just looks so fast. Just hasn't been able to draw anything. I wonder how Honitsu, the hand to the right, is going to be.
Now, kind of floating it for the most options. I think is the way you play that. Oh, well, now you have Dora. Fun's over. Now you go for the 2, 3, 4 Sanjuku.
Yeah, that's value too.
Only really closed. Open it'd be 2,000 max. Oh, good draw there, pairing up that 9, so that is now a ridiculously wide Ishanten.
Ideal would be to draw around the 6 mon so that you can make Ipeco.
Yeah, Richi Pinfui, Peiko Dora, there's your Mongon.
Not bad would be drawing a... Oh, I guess.
You absolutely can't call. You're not cutting the 9 so pair, so. Well, unfortunate, because that would have been Tempai. Would have just been Kanchan on the 5. Would have been Richi Dora for a dealer. Speaking of Tempai, there is one across the way that is just Sumo, waiting on 5. 5 mon.
Oh, the 5 comes out right away. Of course, unlikely to have happened if there was a Ricci.
Right. There's a much better shape. The
1
problem is you're going to have so many of those 8s in your hand that you haven't really improved much, have you?
Yeah,
In
you
fact,
should
this
just-
is actually the same way you just had. You did add Pinfu with
Right.
this shift, but it's still just the 5.
Yeah, Ricci Nomi, not good enough. Ricci Pinfu? Sure. With one less tile. And that makes sense. Usually, well, Pinfu may not be ideal, but Ricci Nomi versus Ricci plus 1 other value is a pretty big difference.
Interesting throwing the 6 pin instead of the safe 3 so. And there's the 3 so. And looks like Peter's just going to fold here, which is your goal with the Ricci anyway. You don't really expect to win this hand. But hey, if you can net 2,000 points off it, that's great.
Yeah, surprisingly, Peter was unable to draw anything useful before that happened.
Oh, I think this deal's in. I think you push this.
4
Ricci Pinfu. No aura, so boosts it from the 1,300 win it would have been to the 2,000. Do we move to South 2?
Ooh.
Look at that dealer hand. 2 completed runs and a completed Onko Yakuhai. You have a bunch of ugly floaters elsewhere, but Richi Haku just about any way you go. Maybe a distant Sanshoku,
Well, 9
especially
pin.
draw 9 so. On the right, we have... That's just a yuck hand. Like, I'm not seeing anything from that. Across the way, I don't know, Richi Pinfu, maybe an Ipeco and lower so. And on the left, 2 Dora Yakuhai, so you're looking to call that also potentially a 2-3-4 Sanshoku.
Yeah, Peter just pulled in the north, so extremely pleased with those pickups.
And especially when you have a Dora Yakuhai pair, you're always wondering, do I just call something early and bluff my Tanya, hoping the Dora comes out later?
Sanshoku live for Claire. With a Tsuji trap on the 7 pin.
Yeah, Claire could have called the 9, but that would have significantly cheapened the hand.
Haku Sanshoku.
No, I can just throw the 6 back. Because you're also thinking of pulling in and pairing up the 8-9 pin would be perfectly fine as well for Richi Peiko Haku.
A 7 pin, maybe one of those tiles that you'd think about calling. If you were in Peter's seat, to bluff that Tanya, but actually wait on the Dora. I guess your shapes are pretty good elsewhere too. And regarding the 9 so, we can see 2 in the hand to the right, so there's actually only 1 left in the wall for Claire to draw.
And Claire is stuck in my eternal home or waiting place, Ishanten Hell.
There are a lot of tiles that will give Tempai, just hasn't seen any of them just yet.
And Kudra, even with those upgrades, you're still like, what do I do with this?
Right? I looked at the 5-star, like, okay, this is
Riichi.
this is promising, but it's still
No,
pretty
it's
stuck.
really not.
Yeah, right.
There, we finally have something. Ricci Pinfu, waiting on the 2-5.
Ah, poor So is so bad.
Yeah, but even you call this, do you feel good about it? No. There are only 2 7s left, so you almost have to call it, though.
1.
This is, yeah, the 6-9. Oh, it's still the Sanshoku, so.
Mhm.
4 is
Each.
Nakasuji, so that is what you should be throwing. It will, in fact, Ricci waiting on
Oh!
that 7.
Don't.
Oh my goodness, the Ipatsu, Ricci, Ipatsu.
Well, that hand won.
Okay. I do not understand how that hand won, but okay.
Yeah, fine. Just build your Tempai to clear Ricci and let the wall do the rest.
Exactly.
Well played.
Take your 2 outer and just have the person that's stuck in Ricci after you draw it and deal into you. No Urador for the style points, but you'll absolutely take the 2600 and the Ricci stick. Well, we move to South 3. Dealer has some overlapping Ryanmen, a few extra pairs. Hand's kind of mediocre. It's not good. It's not terrible.
Mhm.
On the right, you have a completed shape in pin and a couple penchons and nothing else. I think maybe selling out for the Kokushi, just given these discards.
Yeah, the other route would be to try to make a Honitsu, but your suit was the Pinzu, and you've already dropped the 7, and that was 6.
I think I would have gone for the
Oh,
pin. Oh no,
A
the
Chanta.
Pinzo Nitsu would be looking really good about now.
we do Chanta Sanch. Oh. I'm just going all out. Let's go.
Okay. Across the way, looks like a potential 3-4-5 Sanshoku. Pretty standard Pinfu hand. You do have 2 Dora, so if you can call for the Sanshoku in some way, you'd absolutely love to. That would get you second with that 2 Dora. And on the left, we see potentially Ricci, Pinfu. You also have floating Dora, but you're not going to be able to use it. And that 2 pin, I'd have to think long and hard about calling, but you really want the 5, not the 2.
Yeah, this Dora being the East is so awkward. Of course, when you have a pair like Peter across the table, that's not terrible. But 1 in hand?
A third 2 when you have a 3-4-4 shape.
And you can't call it either, unless you're planning to sell out for the 2-3-4 Sanshoku.
Yeah, Claire says, forget this. I'm getting rid of it. It's shutting my hand down. And if I'm not Tempai at the end of this, I'm probably going to be under 30K.
Yeah, South 3, it's starting to come into play significantly in your mind.
Interesting cutting the 1, not taking the other shape to accept the 5 mon, instead looking for the extra pair. But it only adds 2 ukulele at the expense of, I guess, what would be 3 here. I figure the 5 is very likely to be used, but not necessarily all of them, because you see someone going obvious Kokushi.
Mhm.
But now we have a pretty wide Ishin, then decided not to take Tempai. Claire did not take Tempai on that Penchon. Looking for a lot more value here. Maybe playing for first, although it is only South 3, so certainly understandable.
Yeah, well, with 5, 6, 7 Sanshoku on the line and Tanya as well, certainly a lot of value to be had.
Dealer Damas, Pinfu, possibly Peiko.
We've seen this twice now from William willing to take a Dama,
相撲
Oh!
and twice won the hand.
Yeah, but the Ipatsumo.
Yeah,
I'm sad.
still, that does
Well,
knock.
shake it off, move to South 3-1. Dealer has a much better hand this time. Couple pairs, a completed run, completed shape, and a floating Dora. Decent other floaters. On the right, it looks like a Tanyao, maybe Sanshoku, also floating Dora. You see another floating Dora across the way. That looks like a Pinfu hand. Probably Tanyao as well. And on the left, a few pairs and not much else. I think you just sell out for either Chitoi or Toy Toy.
Yeah, at least the dealer has the Dora. Might end up being useful in their hand.
Now, the problem's going to be they don't necessarily know this is the situation, but you would need to draw the very last one for that to be of any use to you, unless you turn to the Chitoi.
I guess you're 3 pairs toward it, but you really aren't thinking Chitoi just yet, I don't think.
Well, yeah, maybe
I mean, you're
if
thinking,
cutting
but
the one.
but not committing.
Yeah,
very
because
hard
your
towards it.
efficient play there is always cutting the 6 pin. Because although it doesn't necessarily look as natural, the 1-3-3 is a much better shape than 3-3 and a floater 6.
We have Ishunten to the right. Just hanging on to that Dora still. Even once cut.
Well, Haru, I understand absolutely waiting on as long as possible on the
Mhm.
Dora, because Haru needs value badly. Oh, and Kujira's brute forcing this into a Tanya. That was the thinking. Especially with this 2-so, you can only really use it as a pair because you pull a 3 and it's 4-10. Guess you could also pull a 7-so in. But this is definitely a step back for the hand.
In terms of immediate Shanten, but we'll hope that Claire eventually starts to discard something other than terminals.
Well, there's your Tempai on the right. Ricci Tanya with a 2-3. And you see that 2 is very isolated here for dealer. And the weight is dead, except it is in hands in places where they may come out anyway. Like, it could come out almost... If you connect to that 7-mon, the 2 will absolutely come out.
Yeah, and it's not like William is going to draw 3 here.
Well, even if you do, you're still talking a 4-10 3-sided weight Ricci, which I mean you take, but
I'm almost willing just to fold here.
now you have a big lead. You're perfectly fine with Haru winning this hand. Even if it is a Ricci Sumo Tanyao. Now the Orador would be a bit annoying.
Mhm. It still wouldn't be enough to put Haru over 30k. And you
Yes, it would, because there's a Homba.
Oh, you're right, there is.
Would put exactly at 30k.
Yeah, so I guess I was technically right. It would not be over 30k. But
It would be over 30k for the counting of floating UMA,
positive,
but
right.
it
It
would
would
not
be
be over 30k in colloquial speech.
yes, the mathematically speaking, but it would be a positive result. So we do. It would be a little bit painful in that sense. And yeah, William not pushing the issue
Yeah,
here.
just giving up here, and
No
or
one.
will end up with the 3,000 from the Ricci sticks here, which will make all last much closer. Especially with Peter, who has a bit of a gap here. And all of a sudden does not have much of a gap.
Yeah, so this will be really tight as we move into South 4.
It's now 2,100, so dealer one Han win with the 1,600 in the middle would get into at least third place, and that is the hand you're looking for in fourth place as dealer.
Mm-hmm.
Ricci, Pinfu, Tanya, Dora, maybe Sanshoku in there. On the right, we see a Shaw pair, but a whole bunch of pairs, honestly, but not much value unless you turn it into some sort of Chicho with Dora. But the fast hand is the one on the left, as Kujira calls the South Yakuai. Across the way, we have decent shapes, but not going to be nearly that fast. On the left, as mentioned earlier, Kujira calls the South. Question is, oh my goodness, there's your dealer 3-sided Ricci, but you could see Kujira push into this.
William holding
what
6
else are you
of the
going to do?
tiles.
The problem is that 4-7 is going to be very dangerous. Okay, maybe playing for the Honitsu doesn't know it, but that's actually the best way to play this hand.
And even Peter has drawn a connector tile, so if he were to push, he wouldn't be dealing that 4-so.
But yeah, the 1-4-7, and ooh, I think you throw the 9 this turn. Yeah. Oh my goodness, you got to push that 7, which is near Dora, but we know it would be safe.
Oh,
And there's Tempai. Waiting on the Shumpon, I believe. 1-7 so. So they actually have the same weight now because Forso is dead.
oh
But if you
no.
see the upgraded shape, it will deal in. I think you have to, and does. Ricci, Pinfu, Tanya, Dora. Oradora makes no difference, but that completely flips as now Haru is in first place and Kujira is barely clinging on to second. Dealer has another monster hand
Oh
here with
my.
the double Yakuhai pair. The Hatsu, which is Dora, 2 of those, maybe other value, but I don't even think even worry about it. You're just calling anything.
Yeah, you have all the
On the
shapes you
right,
need.
we see. Well, yeah, you'd love to be able to shift for some extra value, but I'm just not really seeing it. That 1's actually a great draw. Massively improves these shapes on the right. Pinfu type hand. You do have too many pairs, though. Across the way, the south pair. The question is, can you get over 30k? And the answer is you don't need to because the 900 Hombo will do it for you. And on the left, you have that floating Dora, which we think is going to end up in dealer's hand pretty soon. But Kujira absolutely has incentive to push here. And other than the floating 8-so and the Dora, great shapes.
Clear Ishan 10 across the table. Just waiting for that south to come out.
Dealer also Ishan 10.
Oh, weight improvement now.
This is about the time when you normally cut Dora. You can see hesitation there from Kujira.
Not willing to do
Says,
it.
nope, not going to do it.
Yeah, I could even see just throwing the 8-mon back, but
There's Tempai, Ricci, Dora 2. Of course, sumoing that last
Gee.
Hatsu would be Hanemon. And there's Tempai across the way waiting on the south 9. So, of course, the south is the only Yaku there.
oh, 5 is safe. So 1-mon's in that safe.
There's the 9.
Will not deal
Cannot
any.
win. Would be hilarious to see a south come out.
Depends on from whose perspective. From our
In terms of
bird's eye
stream
view.
value, that is definitely what we'd want to see. Oh, that 6 is a terrifying draw.
Yeah.
Says, yeah, I'm out of here. Forget this.
There's still a chance to build around. You just got to draw another
there's
6.
Tempai on the right. That's a monster hand. You absolutely chase with that.
Each.
Yeah, Peter's in 4th. You got to go for
Takes
it.
the safer entry. Does not want to throw the 6-mon. Instead, taking Ricci Tanya instead of Ricci Tanya Pinfu.
1 8-pin in the wall. No 6 pins. Oh, there's the sumo.
Well, there's your sumo. Draws the cheap end, but it's still Mongon. Neurodora makes no difference, and Haru, just like that, is over 51,000.
So this time, last game, it was Claire pulling it off at the end. This time it's Haru who's just making a massive push.
And is not done looking at this hand. The Tone pair, a Shaw pair, and can accept Dora 6-mon. So I think you're going to see some calling and most likely winning this hand. On the right, you have pretty standard Pinfu shapes. You can only accept a Dora. You have the Ryoncon 579 pin shape. Across the way, an Anko, a pair, some decent floaters. The hand's not bad, it's just not good. Now you have 2 Anko. Now you're thinking actual value. On the left, you have 3 pairs, 4 pairs now, so you have lots of options. Toy, Chi Toy, even Honitsu, although I'd just go for one of the previous. I like Toy with this. Although, just given the scores, winning any hand is good enough. So you'd like more, but you don't need it. Now, I definitely cut at the 5-mon instead of the Shaw there, because I think Shaw is much easier to call.
5 is a little bit overlapping anyway. It's not doing a whole lot for you unless you plan on drawing 2 Dora.
Well, not to mention that's one of those tiles. The longer you have it in the hand, the worse it gets.
Speaking of Dora, that's a little bit awkward actually.
Yeah, Kujira says
Gee.
let's not.
So I guess Chitoi, Dora 2 is the play.
So that is a big efficiency hit, throwing the 9 pin instead of the 5 mon. You could have even had a Sanshoku hand out of this
Mm.
if you decided that the tone was locked up.
Yeah, it's like a committal to using the tone as your set. Oh, this would be Tempai.
Oh, yep. And you feel the 9's going to come out anytime, even with 2 out.
1
There's your Ricci across the way. That is Ricci Nomi. Quite
Fitting.
appropriate for Claire, I would say.
本
Yeah, this 5-mon looking scared. Oh, just drops Dora. Okay.
Okay. I mean, I absolutely would have cheated that.
Maybe unwilling to drop the 5. Now
Oh, it's
there's
7 the terrible draw, but just forces it anyway.
1s and 4s are being so locked up though. Here's a 4.
There's a 4. I think it just deals in.
Yeah, it's so hard to
I
use.
don't really see. The 4 is Nakazuchi. You could get away from it this turn. 6. Why 6? I don't get it. Well, whatever. It worked.
Yeah, I think still not easy. If you recognize 4 as Nakasuji, I think you throw that one first. But this way also allows you to call another
Ooh,
5 to come
Chenpai
out.
for dealer. Got back in there. Waiting for that tone. There's a Dora. Comes out from the Ricci as well. Oh, that's... No, it's not Tempai yet.
Ishanten. Oh, here's another 4.
The 6 is safe. I don't see where you'd ever throw the 4 over the 6, at least yet.
Mm-hmm.
Similarly, I would throw the 6 over the 4, even though the Sanshoku is a bit frustrating.
つも
Oh!
Okay, well...
Finally! It took
that's
that
one
long.
way to do it, as Haru just says, I'll just mess around and eventually draw that last tone, and pulls in 5,200.
We're not
And
done yet.
They're not out of this game yet. And I've said many times, there are 2 ways to look at running up the score. Do we just peacefully pass it on, which is I just want to escape my first to be done? Or are you going to be the hunter and say, oh no, you're not out of here yet. I'm the one chasing you down. You still have points.
And in this league, there's an infinite number of points to be gained.
Or lost. But remember, you're competing with these people, especially considering where you are in the standings. You need these points. You don't want to have to worry about this later in the season. You'd love to get back into that top 9 to promote up into A2. And these are the types of chances that you get only so often. So you have to capitalize on them. Regardless, dealer here has a Tanya hand. I think just probably call for anything here. On the right, a Pinfu type hand. You do have the 5-8-9-9, so which is a bit awkward. Across the way, Hatsu pair rather, and 8-9 in 2 suits, maybe an Itsu in pin.
ち
On the left, we see a call for Tanya. Now Ishanten, and Tanya would be enough to secure that second place. Figuring that Tuso likely comes out eventually.
What do you think about...
Considering there are none of them yet.
I was gonna say, what do you think about calling the 6-mon there if you're Haru? She seemed to be thinking about that. Would leave you headless.
I would have. I'm not worried about headless in this shape.
So retaining the 7-mon allows you to call a 6. So if it comes out.
Well, there's our Tempai on the left, waiting on 3-6, and that 3 is very much loose in Haru's hand.
You really need to draw 4, so...
There's a call across the way for Dora 2 with Hatsu.
Door 3?
Dora 3 with Hatsu.
Which shape do you like better?
No, that's a
7 penny.
bad. That's wrong on the efficiency. You lock in one of the pairs. I just don't necessarily which one. This way, you're forcing yourself to use the 4/6. You cannot call the 5 mon.
So in that situation, you recommend dropping. If you want that, you drop the 4 mon first.
Right, and like this is if you'd have locked in the 6, you've been able to. But here you draw this. You go, what do I do now? You would normally cut the 5 mon here anyway, and just see what happens.
Yeah, given the number of 4s and 7s that came out in the meantime, probably feeling like that tile is dying.
Chi.
There's going to be a chi. This will be Tempai waiting on that 4-so.
Sumo.
There's the sumo 3-so, and Tanya will end it all. The cheap 1100, but with 5 Homba out there, it's not a small win.
The Homba's worth more than the
Kujira will
hand.
be under 30k, but at least mitigate some of the damage there. But the big winner is Haru with 45.4. Kujira with minus 4.5. Claire losing some of the advantage she had gained from the previous game with a minus 14.2. And Peter taking fourth here with minus 26.7.
We got the stat
And you
update.
see the updated stats, and that will put both Haru and Peter in the promotion zone and drags Claire down back into the demotion zone. But when you're at minus 26.6, you're not feeling that bad about it. This is the concern, is you're anytime you're in that demotion zone, even this early, it's just not where you want to be. So I guess the next question is, are they playing more?
I believe they have scheduled 2 games later in the week, so that will be the final 2 matches of the evening.
Okay, well, I think the highlight of the day was very clearly the Sanbaimon.
Absolutely.
Why don't you call and take your Chinitsu? And Travis said, I think I'd rather have Sanbaimon, thanks.
Yeah, I could do a little bit better than Chinitsu. And yeah, that was certainly thrilling to watch.
Any other closing thoughts before we wrap it up?
No, I was very happy to be able to watch some of B1. We got to devote the entire evening to this division, so it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we tend to spend a lot of time on A1 and A2. It's definitely nice to get into the B divisions and see some of these other players. Of course, some of these have come from demotions to the A2, and some who are definitely working their way up from the Beta League, the inaugural Beta League, or the Beta League last season, and working their way up. And that's the story of B1. B1's kind of, you're in your waiting zone. Is, do you have a chance at what you would consider the bigger leagues? Because anytime you go from a B to an A, that feels good. Even though it's just one division, it just feels good.
Right.
And these are your chances. So can you capitalize? And that's really the story of B1.
And well, we can see a few of the players who have capitalized so far leading the standings, and a few of the players who are working their way up. We can see Hanu and Peter climbing up as we've seen this evening. So,
all right. Well, then this is Korak along with Nathaniel. Any final closing thoughts other than the standard? Follow us here on Twitch, subscribe to YouTube, check out the website. We are still accepting signups for next season. It will be for another couple months.
absolutely, sign up still open till the 19th of September. So if you're interested in playing, you can sign up at the website, AmericanRichi.org.
All right, then. This is Korak along with Nathaniel for the American Riichi Mahjong League signing off. Have a good night, everyone.